And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive Tuesday, January 27th. I looked at it and forgot it within 5 seconds. We have a 7-game schedule for today, 6 games on the main for the DraftKings side, all 7 on the FanDuel side. Lots of nonsense going on. FanDuel peeps get to mess around with this Utah business later on. We don't get that benefit on DraftKings, although I wish we did. I'd prefer the late swaps. We have plenty of late swap opportunities, plenty of Q tags still to look at, and a lot of ownership going to guys that don't typically get it. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and then follow us both on Twitter at Josh Engleman, at Chris Spags. We got a doozy on our hands today.
I'm glad to be here today. I always like doing these shows where it happens to align with the $5 100K up top. And a couple of weeks ago, I finished top 5. And as Josh pointed out, I simmed really well in his data. And then Eric Lindquist texted me and the sim just lit on fire and immediately was invalid. But no, I like these slates. I like this one. And for today in particular, my Quentin Grimes of the year is on the slate as our mega chalk, Ryan Rollins. And Josh, you pointed out the strategy show, but his rates get comical when you take Giannis off, when you take KPJ off. And that's the case we have today. And then on top of that, this is a Philly team that he lit up for 60 fantasy points earlier in the year. So very excited for chalk Ryan Rollins today. I hope he doesn't disappoint us all because I love him as a player, Josh. He's like the ultimate tank commander, I think, with what he currently is as a basketball player.
He is going to be commanding a bit of a tank over these next couple of weeks, that's for sure, until Giannis gets back. Because I don't think Giannis is heading out the door in the next couple of weeks or next 2.5 weeks or whatever it is. So get ready to get tanking, Ryan, because technically they do have their pick, although they get the lesser of the Pelicans and their own. But at this rate, both of those are going to be equally dog shit. So they're going to both land up at the top. Obviously, the Pelicans don't get access to their own portion of that pick. That one heads to Atlanta, but that's a conversation for a different day. Today's conversation starts with a 7 o'clock game with the Portland Trailblazers taking on the Washington Wizards. And the Blazers are going to be without Dwop Reith. They're going to be without Chris Murray still, and all of the other guys that are typically out. Denny Avdia is sitting out there with a Q tag, and then an even weirder Q tag to me. The fact that it exists right now is confusing, and we'll figure it out in a bit. There is also a Q tag on Time Lord, Robert Williams, which is crazy because there was no scenario where I anticipated him playing on a back-to-back. Doesn't typically do that, and yet still not ruled out just yet. On the Wizards side, no Marvin Bagley, no Trae Young, obviously, no Tristan Vukcevic, but Q tag on Chris Middleton. Welcome back, Bilal Coulibaly. Everything that I've just said is leading to the following items: 50% ownership to Trey Johnson, 45% ownership to Alex Sarr, and another 40 for Keyshawn George. Let's just start here on the Wizards side before we unpack this Portland mess. How are you feeling about this 40% owned trifecta of Wizards locking at 7 o'clock?
You mean they project well for me? I mean, all the guys actually I have higher than Stokastic in my projections. I guess Sarr I'm a little bit low on, but Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, I'm up a little bit on. I'm cool with it. It does sort of seem, and I know you preach the good word of late swap as much as our good friend Eric Lindquist does, but it is one of those things where if you pick these guys, Sarr, Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, you're going to lose a lot of flexibility on the slate because I think these guys are all, Trey Johnson's cheap enough, but you are giving up a spot that's a pseudo value at 4,900 for him that maybe a better value play opens up that looks better at a cheaper price tag. And if for Trey Johnson, he's got a decent projection on him of about 29.5 in Stokastic data. But, maybe there's a better value guy at 3K or something, or 3,500 that comes up later on the slate. That's sort of how I feel about Trey Johnson a lot. But I think, relative to this slate, the Wizards with a 113 point implied total, only a 6.5 point dog at home, which for the Wizards, not a bad thing to see. And then you have Sarr at a reasonable price tag with no backup bigs. Trey Johnson with maybe some more bodies not being available today, but still the minutes have been good for him no matter what since McCollum got traded. And Keyshawn George, same thing. His rates take a little bit of an uptick as well and would get better if Middleton is out. So I like these guys a lot, Josh, but I feel like for me, the big thing is do you want to give up your flexibility? I'm not sold the field's going to be at 40 to 50% of all these guys, because I think the field generally likes to preserve swappability because you have a lot of sharp players playing. Obviously today being, $5 slate, maybe not as much, but I just feel like they won't be as owned as they're currently projected to be. But I'm cool with the numbers if you get there.
Yeah, it's still like the Trey Johnson one is tough. We've got him in as a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy in 32 minutes. That's 6x value on its surface. Like, he's just going to be massively owned. Whether it's 49 or 39, he's going to be massively owned. Same for Sar. 1.29 fantasy points per minute across 32 and a half minutes. The backup center's out. The backup center is out. They have Scala Bossier now. That doesn't matter for DFS purposes, but he is a human being playing for the Wizards. So we'll see what that ends up being. His point per dollar value looks great. Now, we don't have the same sort of point per dollar value on Keyshawn George, which is probably what's causing him to have negative 9.7 leverage. But he is still a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy, projected for 32 plus minutes, and still a 5.4x value. He's the guy that's weirdest to me. And I don't know if it's just because I hate the fact that he's shooting guard only, which is 100% incorrect, or what the deal is for me. He's the one that I'm most apprehensive about, but I think all three guys look really good. I think Trey Johnson is just very easy to get to, and I think Sar is just live to play a ton. The question that I have for you is, do you like anything else from the Wizards?
No, I mean, and I think to just quickly defend Keyshawn George a little bit, like, I think the best appealing thing for him is that the floor is never that bad. Like, his floor is always going to generally be in a bit of an exaggeration, but like going to be around 5x no matter what. He doesn't kill you. And I think he does still have that upside of like 50. We've seen him go 60 plus in the past. I don't know if that's currently in his bag given the amount of Wizards we have available, but like, I like Keyshawn George for that reason. The defensive peripherals being there, the usage being pretty solid, but he's pops up a lot in my data and definitely projects about 2 points higher than Stokastic today. So I'm cool with him. The rest of the Wizards, like, I'm not really getting anything else coming up here. If Middleton were out, I think maybe a Champagny or Bub Carrington would start to look a little bit better. Koulibaly, I don't see happening no matter what. Will Riley, Jameer Watkins, even those guys are cheap, but they produce so terribly at like about 0.7 fantasy points a minute, not getting enough minutes to make up for that. I don't see any other Wizards that would matter. I guess if Labissiere were in the player pool, it is a revenge game for him at home against Portland. So maybe that would matter for at least people in YouTube chats around the world. But I think for the Wizards right now, with Middleton in, I don't see much besides the top three.
I definitely don't remember Scal being on Portland. I only remember him being on the Kings, but I believe you. Yeah, he's been on a couple teams at this point. Any interest in Chris Middleton? 4,800 power forward only with a Q tag. Feels kind of tough, but they've been stretching him out at least a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, 25 minutes would not look bad. He's only playing at a 0.84 fantasy point per minute pace. I mean, he's shooting terribly on the year, which is obviously used to be his bread and butter. It's always sad when you kind of see that go, but 52% true shooting, 31% from three. I guess you can make the case, a spot like this against Portland, who is at least an under league average defense. Maybe there's a get well spot for him in some respect, but yeah, for Middleton, I don't mind the price tag, and we just have so little value, and like, he's kind of a direct price point pivot to Trey Johnson. I could see the logic, even though they're at different positions. But projection wise, I have him like almost 8 points lower than Trey Johnson, which is how sad the mighty have fallen again.
Breaks my heart, man. For real. So then we get to Portland. Now, this one's going to rectify itself, at least in some way, prior to lock. Denny Avdia being questionable for Portland. We're going to know if he's playing or not, since this is the 7:00 game. But if he's in, nothing is happening to Portland. Klingon is 9.5% owned. Denny is 5%. Everybody else is below that. Do you have any interest in these Portland pieces, considering we're going to have, pretty easily one Wizard in everything you're doing and potentially two in a large chunk of them? Are you trying to get anything on the Portland side on the way back?
No, I mean, it's tough because Avdia's price tag is so high and the minutes now being limited at all. And like you mentioned too, I think again this morning, like the back injury, that could flare up at any time really, which I think does spook you a little bit. Not that I'm ever an injury worrywart, but for me, that's enough to maybe give a little bit of an extra pause. But I would say for, the ownership, the fact that he's going to be 5% owned on a slate where he's point guard, small forward, where you also have another chalky point guard who maybe could underperform in Ryan Rollins. Like maybe you go to Avdia at point guard instead, he comes over the top. I can see the way that works. Revenge game for him too, being back in Washington, and it does seem maybe didn't have the best time with that experience because they didn't get him the opportunity to kind of blossom like he has so far in Portland. But the fact that he is banged up, the fact that minutes seemingly can't get to the high 30s like it has occasionally in the past, A little bit hard to love him. If the price tag were cheaper, sure. But I think he's the only one, like tournament-wise. Klingon is okay. Got him as a 10% play. Nobody else I have above 5. But Denny, like I could see a way there if even if he plays limited minutes, if he has like a LaMelo day where he just puts up 1.7 fantasy sports minute in his time period, that could work. But it's hard to get there if he's not going to be full go.
So what do you want to do with Portland if he's not playing at all? He has missed the last 2 games. He got hurt 3 games ago during the game. He had missed 3 games previous to that and finally got back to play 1 real game. If we don't have him today, is that unlocking anything for you? Are you more interested in Caleb Love or Jeremy Grant? Because I'm kind of getting the vibe that I still don't think there's going to be anything all that interesting here.
Yeah, I think Shaedon Sharpe a more compelling tournament play, but 7,800 almost seems like he's priced in the expectation that Denny wouldn't go. Jeremy Grant straight up becomes a worse fantasy per minute guy by like about 0.1, 0.2 fantasy sports minute with Avdi off the court, presumably because spacing gets worse. There isn't the same shot creation, and especially Drew playing limited minutes on a back-to-back, probably not going to be much better for him. He's a guy that just can't create his own shot quite as well these days. I think Sharp would be compelling to me, but I just don't think projection-wise he would come up like crazy. Caleb Love, I think the same thing. Like if Avdi is out, you still have a few too many bodies here, especially Drew, probably being severely minutes limited, so he doesn't have a ceiling, but he'll play enough that as he's probably your best per minute producer with Denny off the court, but he'll take enough away in that 24 minutes he plays like anyway that he'll kill the other guys. So Klingon, I guess, like because Washington just missed a ton of shots, you get leverage on Sarr that way. Sharp, I think would look better, but still not super playable. I'd be more open-minded to these guys, but I think I'm with you. Like, I just don't think anybody's going to pop in a real way.
Here we go. Let me pull it up on FanDuel quickly so we can get the comparison point for everybody. But yeah, I'm on the same page. I don't see Portland having anything for me that I want to lock in at 7 o'clock and block myself out for the ladder swaps. Washington is in a position where I don't know really how you avoid the bulk of it all. As we look at this game on FanDuel, did I type Washington? Nope. I just tried to assume Washington was a player and not a team. Alex Sarr on the FanDuel side, 7,900 power forward, center eligible, 40% owned. But you will note Keyshawn George at 7,300, shooting guard, small forward eligible, 27% owned. Trey Johnson is 5,300 on FanDuel. He's 20% owned. So way less ownership for these Wizards on the FanDuel side, but still 3 primary options, plus a 4th in Chris Middleton, 4,600. He's 10% owned. Everybody else is like 6 or below. So this is largely the same thing across DK and FanDuel. It's just a little bit lighter on FanDuel. But ultimately, today is one of those days where you get to a lot of Washington Wizards. I assume that feels great. Anytime you can play a bunch of the guys from the worst team in the league, you should absolutely be doing that.
Yeah, it's not that bad. And Sarr, honestly, on FanDuel, like 9% positive optimal rate here or leverage on him if you go relative to that 41% ownership. Like, I like these guys. Like, I think Washington, I get why you make that joke, and they are one of the worst teams in basketball, but at least a little more consolidated now, and at least we kind of know, I think, for the most part, who the good players, I'll put it in quotes, like the good players are.
Oh, and those are the good players. Like Keyshawn George is a real NBA player that is going to be a part of, pseudo starting lineups and rotations forever. Obviously, Alex Sarr is real. Trey Johnson is very real. His shooting is bonkers. He is going to be a real thing moving forward, whether that's a true starter or like he ends up being like a 6th or 7th guy. Those 3 dudes are real. So I don't feel bad getting them. It's not like, oh, fuck, it's an Anthony Gill day. And you're just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm going to drink this surface cleaner that I have on my desk instead of rostering Anthony Gill. That's not what we have today. Instead of that, we can roster Neek Clifford for the Kings. Yay, everybody. Sacramento Kings, 2 touchdown underdogs in New York against the Knicks. No Keegan Murray, no Malik Monk, no Zach LaVine for Sacramento. For the Knicks, full strength. 20% ownership to likely starter Neek Clifford. He is 3,300, small forward, power forward eligible. Absolutely dreadful from a per minute basis, but that's pretty decent value for what we have here today. After that, it's a bunch of Knicks. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, all in the 10 to 15% range. So is Domantas Sabonis at 8,100. Tapers off a bit after that. How are you feeling about Neek Clifford? Let's get him out of the way. Just seems like if he's starting today, given the losses that the Kings have seen so far, works well enough as a value option if you need it.
Yeah, I would say the thing for Nick Clifford that jumps out is like he's desperately due for some positive regression across something, I would think, just based upon the fact he's at 49% true shooting, 40% field goal rate, or percentage from the floor, 30% from three, 63% from free throw. Like he might just be a terrible shooter if you're that bad from the free throw line and from three, but if he's going to play 29 minutes, that is sort of the time where you'd hope that he could find his floor a little bit more than what he's shown so far. And the usage hasn't really been there either. 15% usage rate, 9% assist rate, rebounding at a 9% rate. Like he really just doesn't do a whole lot of anything, but being out there, being a young guy, against the Knicks, not the softest defense, but not as good as I think they've been in the past. So I'm above the field on Nick Clifford right now, getting him in 30%, Fields at 20, 3,300 is the main thing. Small forward, power forward, the number two thing. I just think he's incredibly untalented with what he's shown so far. But it'll get better at some point, I would think, because you can't keep being this bad and be a player that people want to give more minutes to.
Yeah. I'm not excited to get to Nick Clifford today for sure, because he is not an entertaining per minute dude, but this is pretty unique value for us. We don't have to lock it in at 7, which helps. You get a little bit additional wiggle room here. And, they're missing a lot of bodies. Does he play a little bit less potentially? I don't know. He can, but they just don't have enough there that I'm all that threatened. I'm happy to take that value. One other piece for the Kings. Well, I guess 1.5 other pieces for the Kings. Are you willing to roll the dice on an $8,100 Domantas Sabonis? Power forward center eligible, only 10% owned. Realistically, like he's probably going to play 35 minutes in one day in a game before we realize it. If that's today, he's wildly underpriced.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen the ceiling a little bit more lately for him, which is nice to know that it still exists. And the fact you're taking Levine off, you're taking Monk off, you're getting a few less flies just kind of, grabbing all the shots they can around him. So I think that's a positive for him as a guy that I think has just been a little bit lost in the sauce with all these high usage guards around him this year. But, projection wise, I'm not really there. I have him at 36, like a little bit less than that. Stokastic has him at 38.8. I just don't see it in the data, but I agree that the minutes growing, the fact that he is showing that he still has enough old Sabonis in him, and the fact the Knicks too at this point, with Cat, I just don't know what you're going to get on that side. You never get much defensively, but like at this point, he just kind of seems like he's not really there as much mentally either. That's probably a good thing for Sabonis. But he and Westbrook just not really coming up for me. DeRozan is the one I think where you look at the numbers and it's like he's been producing almost 1.1 fan sports minute with Monk and with also Levine off the court. But it just isn't showing up in the data. Like I gave him whatever rate boosts he gets. It's not enough to kind of boost into that same fantasy points per minute. But I do think the opportunity is better for him. I wish he weren't 7,400. It's like the Kings are priced like they're a good team right now, and they're not. Like I think Westbrook still has a ceiling. I think Sabonis has a ceiling. I think even DeRozan with missing a couple more guards out, has a ceiling. But like it's really expensive price tags for the Kings given who they are.
Interesting you went to DeRozan. I was going to pitch you on somebody else. What about Schroeder? Point guard, shooting guard eligible, 4,700 here. Kind of just slipping under the radar, but no Levine and Monk. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he stepped into a couple extra minutes.
Yeah, I've got him as a playable option. Like I think at 4,700, the field's at 8%. I got 7. So like he's not coming up in any meaningful way for me with my projection pretty much dead even with Stokastic's at 23.4. But he's a better per minute producer this year than DeRozan. He's been at 0.95. DeRozan's been at 0.92. I just didn't see the rate uptick for DeRozan. Like I thought it was odd that DeRozan would come up just how he's played this year without Levine, without having Monk out there. And then in my data, like usually that gets accommodated, but it really wasn't. For Schroeder, he's just kind of the same guy. Like I think he gets more minutes, definitely more security in the role, but it does seem like he's been shunted down the rotation a little bit. So I think, if he were starting, and I feel a little more confident about him maybe getting that like more of a Nick Clifford level run / the other starters being, at 30 minutes opposed to Schroeder right now being at 24.4. But I just like DeRozan, 33-minute projection from Stokastic. Like if he's a 1.1 minute producer, like he's been historically, these guys off, like I think he can pay off. Schroeder, I still think is a bit of a dice roll.
We've got Dennis Schroeder in for 24.4 minutes right now. Last time out, Dennis Schroeder played 25 minutes. That did not include Zach LaVine. He was out. That did include 22 minutes of Malik Monk. In the previous game, we got 31 minutes out of Dennis Schroeder. That also included 33 from Malik Monk. and 23 from Zach LaVine. I think he's very live to play 30 minutes here today and is really getting slept on. Like, I don't think that he is like under-owned by any means. Like, I think that this is the appropriate place for him to be, but I think there's a lot more upside here than's being shown.
Yeah, I think the minutes alone, you just give him the 5 more minutes, like that would certainly make the projection get more in a range where he's already a 5x value with him playing 24.4 minutes of Stokastic status. So if you gave him even 27.4, he'd probably be, like what, a 5.3x value, 5.4x to start coming in more. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. It's just like, he's not guaranteed to 30. Like, that's the tough part for his situation where they could play Keon Ellis again. Like right now in Stokastic's data, Keon Ellis is getting 22. But like maybe they play him less because they want to keep him healthy for whatever trade opportunities are out there. There's supposedly so many floating around. I can see what you're saying with Schroeder. It's just, I think if you just give him that 24 minutes, though, he just doesn't pop up enough.
I just wonder if he ends up getting like closing run over Neek Clifford and they close with like Westbrook, Schroeder, DeRozan, Sabonis, insert somebody else here. I mean, if that's Clifford over Achua or whatever, fine. I think Schroeder can play his way into the closing lineup given who's out today. And I think he's getting slept on a bit. What about the Knicks? It's Josh Hart, it's Jalen Brunson, it's McKelly. I mean, it's kind of just like, it's the guys you expect to roster because they don't really play anybody else. As I look at this, it's the same thing I thought this morning on the strategy show. 12% owned $8,700 Jalen Brunson against this Kings team just feels like he's not getting enough love. I don't know what to do with Towns anymore. I feel the same way about Towns, but he's just been weird lately. Whereas I think Jalen Brunson just smacks the Kings around.
Yeah, I mean, Brunson's been solid this year. I mean, the usage at 31.5%, putting up 1.21 fantasy points a minute. And not as good as Towns has been with the 1.3 he has, but there hasn't been the ebbs and flows, for Brunson like there has been for Towns. And kind of like we saw a couple slates ago with Donovan Mitchell versus the Kings. It's like, there is a ceiling there in these spots, like, because he has a lot of usage and the Kings are so bad defensively, giving up almost 121 points per 100. So yeah, I see the way there's a pathway there, but projection wise, just not coming up crazy much for me. Is Brunson. I only have him at 15%, Fields at 13. Josh Hart, I have at 16, the Fields at 15 for him. Mitchell Robinson, I think, is a decent value right now in a slate where we just don't have any real streaming value. And the guys that you have who might start who are cheap are like your Neek Clifford guys. I feel like Mitchell Robinson is a backup that's going to play about 22 minutes in Stokastic data. Like, he's producing well enough, and the Kings are a bad enough team that can allow maybe some extra blocks, some extra rebounds for them just breaking everything, or just, be bad at rebounding, give them some more offensive rebound opportunities. I think Mitchell Robinson is like a nice value play at 4,400. So I think he stands out, but like these guys are all to me like 10, 15% plays. If they mix in, great. If I got him at 22, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I don't think these are guys I'm getting in a third of my player pool or anything, even though the matchup is so clean.
Yeah, I don't think any of that's crazy. Like, really, Brunson's the only guy that I'm just looking at like, God, this is a matchup against the Kings. Don't overthink it. He's just going to roast these characters. Like, there's nobody out there that's stopping him. The whole team sucks. Sabonis sucks. Russell Westbrook sucks. DeRozan sucks. They all suck. I just want to get to something from the Knicks. I lean Brunson, maybe just because it's Brunson and I'll feel a little bit better about it, but I just don't trust the Kings to do anything of value. Sorry, Kings. Sorry to talk about you like that.
Good bet in every aspect of basketball, generally.
It typically is. On the FanDuel side for this one, there's even less ownership. 10% to Hart, Bridges, Brunson, and Towns. Sabonis is 8. Neek Clifford is 3,800 on FanDuel, but 4% owned. So he is a value play on DraftKings. I don't want to say only, because obviously if you're playing 150 lineups, you can get to Neek Clifford. But like, you are not looking at Neek Clifford on FanDuel and thinking, that's a guy I should probably click on. He's like the 87th best dude you can get to today. Now we're going to get into some fun stuff. This is where the slate starts. We lock down this 7 o'clock game, this nonsense Wizards Portland stuff. The Knicks Kings game just sort of like exists on its own island. And then we get into the 8 o'clock pack. Milwaukee Bucks, Philadelphia 76ers, Bucks 11-point dogs, 219 total. Blech. No KPJ for the Bucks, and slightly more important, no Giannis Antetokounmpo. Technically, no Alex Antetokounmpo, so you can get Thanasis, but that's it. On the Philly side, Joel Embiid, questionable. Quentin Grimes, questionable. Paul George and Kelly Oubre, both in. Charles Bassey, doubtful for today. Keep that in mind. So this one is creating some ownership. And if you saw it on the screen when we got started, you will know what this is. But if you didn't, here it comes. Because of no Giannis, because of no KPJ, we have 60% ownership coming into Ryan Rollins at 7,100. We have 45% ownership coming into a 6K Bobby Portis. We still have another 25 coming into Kyle Kuzma, 20 more for Cole Anthony, 15 more for Miles Turner. The floor is yours, buddy. Go ahead and slob on Ryan Rollins if you'd like.
I mean, the Rollins rates, and I think we can go through it again. Josh did it this morning. I did it on my stream too. At this point, if you've watched any of our content, you've seen the Ryan Rollins spiel, but it jumps out in a major way that about 981 possessions this year, which again, 1,000 generally the data says is going to be where your rates get stable. He's put up 30% usage in court time without Giannis and Kevin Porter Jr., 37% assist rate, rebounding at a decent enough 6% rate, still holding on to 56% true shooting. But the big thing is 1.3 fantasy points per minute, 34 points per 100, 10 assists per 100. The numbers really take a massive jump up for Ryan Rollins. So my projection for him is like way high today because there's just nowhere else for the stats to go on Milwaukee when he's kind of claiming that much usage, that much assist rate. But, you know, like in reality, even with Stokastics, I would say more conservative, you have 40.7 projection. If you just gave him the 1.28 he puts up normally and the 35 minutes Stokastic has for him, you're talking about 44 fantasy points there. So I think like it feels to me, even the most conservative projection at 40 and change looks good because he's too cheap at 7,100. Even with that, he should be priced at least 7,500. I think maybe even closer to 8K with no KPJ and no Giannis. But, you know, like for Ryan Rollins, the big concern point I would say is that like things can get weird for this team when you take Giannis off, when you take KPJ off. Earlier in the year when they were in that situation, it became like Lord of the Flies mode where guys were getting shots up that were really bad. Miles Turner was straight up giving up on games visually, like fouling guys early so they would stop trying to make a run in the fourth quarter kind of stuff. I think it can be a mess, but I just believe a lot in Ryan Rollins and what he's doing and the usage that he gets and just what he is. A guy creates steals and stuff too. So I'm at 80% of him right now. Josh Fields at 61. Where are you in the great Ryan Rollins shareholding debate?
Why in the world is this all small now? Dude, like, I don't know what's been happening to me over the past couple hours, but like, I was in a call with Ben earlier in Google Meet. So like not even StreamYard. And my computer would just stop sharing my screen. It would just take it away as if I couldn't do it. It just did it again there too. What do you have Ryan Rollins projected for? Or can I guess first?
You can guess. It's high.
47. Fuck, it's higher. Jeez. I tried to be as ridiculous as I could to get to that one.
No, 49.6. But I know that going in. So
That's
like, I can
minutes. Did you give him 40 minutes at least?
No, I use Stokastic minutes for my stuff. So I've been 35.3 minutes producing about 1.39 fantasy points per minute today, which I think relative to the Vegas total and who's available, that's what you get. But again, like I think the actual projection should be like 44. Like if you're going to like be where it is, but I just gave him his rates and that's what comes up the rates.
I got 42. He's very clearly the number one play of the day. Whether you're projecting him to play 5 quarters today instead of 4 or just the regular 4, it's not going to matter all that much. Ryan Rollins is the top option on today's slate. The better question then is, how do you want to manage this Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma dilemma that definitely is not going to sit well in most people's stomachs by the time today ends?
Yeah, I mean, for Portis, I do have him lower than Stokastic, but the fact they're giving him 29.8 minutes, he still comes up for me. I mean, the big thing is that, like, I think for this team, and it's one of those DFS things where you keep playing year after year, you kind of make the same plays over and over again, and you realize, oh, it's not the case anymore. There is still a portion of the field, I think, that goes, oh, Giannis is out, Bobby Portis, let's lock him in. Because there was that period for multiple years where it's like Giannis out, you play Middleton, you play Portis, and you're going to make a lot of money that night. Or at least, you'll be competitive that night. For Portis now, though, he's not really gaining more usage when Giannis and KPJ are off the court. Still at about a 22% and change usage rate. He's normally at 22.7 anyway. But like he'll get more opportunity. He does run a little bit at loggerheads with guys like Miles Turner and Kyle Kuzma, as opposed to the previous iterations of the Bucks where he'd be guaranteed the run filling in. for Giannis. But I still think for Portis, like I got him at 43%, Fields at 47. He still looks good to me, even though my projection is a little bit lower by about 3 and change fantasy points compared to Stokastic. For Turner as well, like I hate watching Miles Turner this year. Like again, just think he's given up on the team entirely. He's got kind of sold to fill a bill of false goods coming in, where he thought he was coming into like a championship contending team as your Brooke Lopez replacement. Instead, it's like a team going nowhere fast, who's getting paid endlessly, and who's going to trade for him kind of stuff at this point. But for Miles Turner, I think there's a case for him. I'm only getting him 9%, Fields at 15. Kuzma, I'm getting at 19%, Fields at 25. Cole Anthony, I'm getting at 18, Fields at 21. I think if you're not playing Rollins, I'd bump up Cole Anthony. I think all these guys look good, Josh. I just think there's only one Ryan Rollins is the main way to read that.
I agree. I think Portis is a clear second option here. Like I like Turner more than I like Kuzma. I like Cole Anthony a little bit more than I like Kuzma, especially at that price tag with the MPE. Probably going to end up being a Kuzma day now that I'm saying all of this out loud. So, do what you need to for this one, people. The Rollins is unassailable, and like Bobby Portis to me is largely unassailable. Rollins is to me, it's a tier with Ryan Rollins. It's a tier with Bobby Portis. And then for me, I've got Turner, Cole Anthony, and Kyle Kuzma as like 3 of the same things. Whereas from an ownership and optimal rate on the screen right now, it's kind of Kuzma and Cole Anthony together and a bit less of Miles Turner.
Yep, exact same page.
Do you want to do anything else with AJ Green or Gary Trent? I think that's probably where it ends. Actually, it's probably just AJ Green.
Yeah, I mean, AJ Green projected to play 30 minutes. Like, yeah, that's a good amount of run out there. I don't think he does enough on the court, but he is a lights out 3-point shooter. So, if the shots go his way, like he certainly can knock them down theoretically. But hard for me to get there projection wise. Like he's only a 4.3x value for me. So not really getting there. Look, I think if Ryan Rollins failed, the odds of Portis, Turner, Kuzma, Cole Anthony hitting is probably a lot higher. So that's sort of what I'm going to try to do for the 20% of lineups I have without Ryan Rollins today. But I think it's, for me, when my data says like, hey, here's a guy that he's hit free before and he's coming up in this situation, and you have him projected stupidly, just play him a lot. So I'll be playing Ryan Rollins a lot and I won't ask questions.
Denny Avdia expected to play tonight. Unsurprisingly, Robert Williams ruled out. Don't know what the fuck they were waiting for on that one, but there it is at 5:33 Eastern time. So there we go. News in. We do have the opposite side of this game, though. If Joel Embiid plays, he is currently projected for 23% ownership as a $9,200 center. Tyrese Maxey, sub 10%. Paul George, sub 10%. Let's just start with the biggie here. How do you want to handle Joel Embiid, assuming he's in?
I've got him at a little bit over 10% right now, so almost half the field's exposure. Like Embiid, I think it looks good overall this year, putting up 1.35 fantasy points a minute. Relative to the data, though, and the positionality, I think I'd rather get to Tyrese Maxey on the slate. I have him projected for 49, have Embiid at 40, almost 45. So like I think Maxey just generally the player I get to more. I have no issue with Embiid. Like this spot going against Milwaukee, definitely the kind of Embiid matchup I think that he can excel in. Not great bigs at this point. Turner, I'd really question the motivation for him, and I think it's impacting how he's played defensively this year. But for Maxey, I like the upside more. If I can get Maxey with Ryan Rollins, I think that's a fun combo platter to go to, and it is something that hit early in the year, so I don't mind going to Embiid instead. But I think for how these two guys look, I'd rather get Maxey, but I'm still getting Embiid at, again, over 10%. Maxey I have, though, 2x the field.
I liked Maxey a lot earlier today as like a pay up to be contrarian option. That doesn't really change given all the ownership for the Milwaukee side. Certainly love Embiid if he's able to play. I think Paul George is probably getting slept on at least a little bit here. I can make a case that I like him even more than I like Tyrese Maxey, just given the price tag and the MPE. That's pretty decent flexibility for 7% ownership against whatever the hell this Milwaukee Bucks team is today. Paul George feels like he should be getting a little bit more than 7% of ownership at 6,600.
He started the year so well, and he's kind of settled into like the worst version of himself. He's not shooting well. He's not not really creating a ton of value overall. Just one flat fantasy point per minute, I guess 1.01. I think there's value in Paul George. I feel like if Embiid were out, I'd feel a lot better about it.
I'm just looking at it more like, should Bobby Portis really be 6 and change times as owned as Paul George today. Just around, like, I get it. George is a little bit more expensive, probably a better position. I get that Bobby Portis is going to get more love, but like, I like the idea of building a Ryan Rollins, Miles Turner lineup that has Paul George in it instead of having Bobby Portis. And I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to swap Paul George in for things today. Add him to the list with Kuzma. Should he be a third of Kyle Kuzma's ownership today? I don't really feel that. We're talking about $1,100, but I don't know. It's intriguing. Obviously, if Embiid ends up out, these guys are going to look quite a bit better by just taking more shots and shit. So there's also that.
I think your point about Portis versus him is like not crazy to me. Like I do have Portis at 31.6, Paul George at 31.2. So like you're like you mentioned, Bobby Portis is $600 cheaper, so that definitely factors in. But it's on the projection level. I think you could be right. I mean, I got 8% of them, so like I'm covered there.
Yeah, like I can see it. Like you don't have to go crazy, but 15% of Paul George isn't going to change your day all that much. But you're 2xing the field there, and I think there are plenty of places to trim it. At least as of right now. Do you have anybody else you want to touch on in this game?
No. I mean, I think we covered all the bucks that I find playable. I mean, if Grimes is out, like Grimes being in doesn't matter too much right now. But if he's out, I do think that'll make the other wing players look better by enough that, Oubre, Edgecombe, still probably not super playable. Paul George, I think, would start to look a little more playable. But I think the big thing for me is like if you get Embiid and Grimes out, I think you have to kind of look at Philly again through a different prism. For right now, it's just mostly Maxey and Embiid for me.
For the most part, this looks similar on FanDuel. 40% ownership coming into a $7,700 Ryan Rollins, still massive ownership. You're getting about 25 to Kuzma, about 25 to Bobby Portis. Paul George, your most owned Philadelphia 76er on FanDuel, about 15. Joel Embiid is 10,100 on FanDuel and only 5% owned. That's a little bit tougher of a sell. Similarly, Maxey is 10.6, only 6% owned. A little bit tougher of a sell than what we're seeing on the DraftKings side. All right. Well, there goes the screen share. Who won the screen share anyway? Sharing your screen is dumb. Nobody likes that.
That's an odd one. StreamYard does some weird stuff sometimes, but like the other day I started a stream and I had an issue with like something I had to task manager out of. And like it started my stream and didn't show me, but was showing my screen share. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I didn't realize until 5 minutes in because I had members only chat on. So like an idiot, I had to redo the whole thing. But StreamYard will fuck things up, but I've not heard of this particular issue you're having. So that's fun to know there's awful things.
It's not even Street. Like it happened in Google Meet as well. Same exact scenario. So it's happening anytime I share my screen. I can't wrap my head around it. I don't like it. Like, it's just annoying. It's not helpful at all. But you know what is helpful, Chris? The promo code PRO that gets you 30% off any Stokastic package. Anyone at all. NFL is at the end of the line. It's Super Bowl, and then that's it, unless you're one of those Pro Bowl psychos. I don't even know if that still exists. The point still stands. You can get 30% off any other package at Stokastic. Basketball's here, certainly not going anywhere. You want to use this code on an NBA package, very simply click the link in the description. We don't end there, though. MMA is back. We've got UFC cards out the wazoo for the next couple months every single Saturday. And they're also very cheap to watch now, which should be a little bit more appealing if you want to play some MMA DFS. Golf is back. Baseball is hot on our heels. We have projections and ownership for NHL. No Sims right now, but, maybe next year. We shall see. If you want to sign up at Stokastic, this is a very easy way to do it. To get 30% off using that promo code PRO, any single DFS package you pick, that code is going to work for you. Let's keep it moving, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
This game, man. New Orleans Pelicans, Oklahoma City Thunder. This is about as wild as it gets because the Thunder are missing a billion dudes, and they're still 2 touchdown favorites here, 233 total. On the Pelicans side, everybody that's typically available is available today, which is crazy. For the Thunder, no AJ Mitchell, no Alex Caruso, no Isaiah Hartenstein, no J-Dub. Obviously, no Topic, no Sorber. Cason Wallace, questionable. We barely have any ownership coming into this game. Aaron Wiggins around 15. Jalen Williams with a Y around 15. Chet, SGA. then it falls off. Even the next two guys are Kenrich Williams and Dort. No one from the Pelicans is getting more than 5% ownership. How do you feel about the Thunder here? Because I want to have something in this game, but I'm curious where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, I like SGA conceptually. Like, you take Jalen Williams and a few more guys off, and you're talking about him, especially like Caruso, AJ Mitchell, is pushing like 1.6, 1.7. You have fancy sports minute, depending on the grouping that you're doing that with. I think SGA's got big upside. I wish he were an 11K on the slate, and he doesn't project like incredibly well for me, but I do think there's a massive ceiling there if the Pelicans can stay competitive. But it's weird lately. Like, he's putting up 40-point games where he's shooting like versus the Raptors. He shot like 11 times in that game. I don't get why the usage is flowing away from him sometimes. But I think you want to be close to the field here. Field's getting 13. I got 10. I don't want to be out on him entirely. But for Chet Holmgren, I'm always low on him. He just doesn't take any rate uptick at all for the guys that are out. Like Jalen Williams being out, not helping him out that much this year. Hardenstein being out, not helping him out that much this year. 8,500, I think it's priced for a role that he hasn't really shown yet. But 17% for the field. I got 10. Not super stoked to be there, but I don't think it's as essential to me as like, I want to make sure I'm getting at least close to the field in SGA. If I can get it on Chet, I think I can live without it. But I do like Kenrich Williams a little bit as a value-ish play at 4,800, playing 28 minutes the last few games. It does seem like there's a bit of a push-pull dynamic. I've mentioned before, like him and Jalen Williams with a Y. If Jalen Williams plays well, you probably get less Kenrich. If Jalen Williams doesn't play well, or if he just stays minutes limited, I guess, which he might be too. Kenrich Williams will be out there, and he's super productive in every category. And, former Pelican too, so maybe he has some spite for them in his heart, can contribute a little bit more. But I think Kenrich, to me, about a 20% play at Fields at 8. Aaron Wiggins, similar thing here. I'm at 23. The Field's at 18. I feel like, I'm actually curious your thoughts on this. Kind of feel like he's regressed the most out of all the Thunder players, right? Like, he was a guy that I thought could get a bucket and like could fill it up from 3 and attack the rim. Just not really doing that this year. I don't know if he's settling into more like a 3-and-D aspirational role, but like, I don't know. Aaron Wiggins, I used to love playing last year, and I'm getting him today, but I don't think he's as exciting of a play as he used to be.
Yeah, hasn't been the dude this year offensively in the same way that we saw last year. Don't really know what's going on. I mean, he can't buy a shot in the mid-range to save his life right now. He's getting to the rim quite a bit less than he used to, and for some reason, he's shooting 10% lower from the line this season than he was last year. Maybe he's hurt. I don't know. Hard to say. I expected a little bit more as well, but I don't know, it's kind of weird. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I like him today. Like, I like the flexibility given everybody that's not around, but I kind of want him to play a little bit more like 2025 version of him.
Yeah, like I thought he was like one of their better young guys who would maybe be primed to take a leap up. Like last year when Jalen Williams was out, he would step up, and Holmgren would have some occasional days that'd be better. But like, there's a lot of Wiggins filling in and playing well. So it's nice to hear you kind of validate what I'm seeing too. But yeah, the free throw shooting does stand out a little bit. Just less production overall. He's maybe chucking a little bit less too with only 19% usage. Still think on the slate though, it's worth hoping you get the throwback game because the opportunity is big for him. With Stokastic having him at 27 minutes, and Dort's out there. 31 minutes is the projection today. He's a 5x value for me. I'm getting him in 6% of my lineups. Fields at 7. Doesn't feel as good of a play to me as like a Jalen with a Y would be. But really like Dort, Isaiah Joe, Kason Wallace, if he goes, these guys are all 2 to 6% plays for me. I like these, like the Thunder players to mix in. I don't think any of them is like a real priority for me, I guess, besides maybe Wiggins and Kenrich Williams to some extent.
What do you want to do if Kason Wallace goes out? Because then I think that really fucks up the experience here for OKC, at which point you're certainly going to feel better about Aaron Wiggins. You're incrementally going to feel better about like Jalen Williams, Chet, SGA, Kenrich. I mean, Dort's been playing like 33, 34 minutes over these past couple because of it. I think Isaiah Joe takes a massive leap. I already think that he should be starting right now over Kason Wallace just to rebalance offensively. They're real thin on offense. They're going to drown everybody defensively. I think they could afford to have Isaiah Joe be the 5th starter over Kason Wallace right now, like just to keep because like SGA kind of has to do too much when it's Dort and when it's the other two like non-offensive guy. They're leaning a bit too heavy defensively. I want to see Isaiah Joe get into that starting lineup potentially today, especially if Wallace ends up out. 4,200 shooting guard eligible here in a game where they're 2 touchdown underdogs. He's the guy that's getting slept on for me, at least a little bit.
Yeah, he's a lights out shooter, so I think getting extra court time for him would be nice. 63% true shooting on the year, 39.4% from three, 86.4% from the free throw line. So he's probably just due to shoot better from the rest of the floor. But I'm with you. Like Isaiah Joe, I think would have a lot more upside if Kason Wallace were out, because I would probably get him closer to at least starter level minutes, if not actually starting. They don't like, it seems, Chris Youngblood. Like he never seems to actually get on the court. So I think the minutes would just consolidate more amongst the Key Thunder players. But like Joe's the only one I think can actually take a lot more minutes. Like Usman Jang, Carlson, Barnheiser, I guess could always play a few more. But I think Joe's the one that would stand out. Like he probably gets 28 at least.
Yeah, I think the Usman Jang thing is interesting because he got 20 minutes last time out. If Wallace ends up out, 20 to 24 minutes of Usman Jang is like kind of interesting at 3,500. If Nick Clifford's going to be a guy screaming 20% ownership, I'd be interested there. There's a lot to like about Oklahoma City. We just kind of need to find the Kason Wallace piece. I think the bigger question is there anything to like from the Pelicans, who have now, at least for the past game or two, changed up their lineup and decided to go without point guards? So no Fears, Poole out of the rotation, Point Zion. None of these guys getting any ownership in a death matchup. Do you want the Pels?
Yeah, I respect them playing with the studio space, and I also respect them deciding we don't want to play Jordan Poole anymore. I think that's with how he's played this year, especially. Like he's the worst version of everything he's ever done before. But Sadiq Bey is the only player coming up for me here, 5,800, small forward, power forward. He's been playing pretty decently this year at 0.94 fantasy points a minute. Counting for the match with the Thunder, I'd have him at the same rate today, 0.94. But I have him in 11% of my lineups, Fields at 5. Zion, I just am not getting him in my data this year, but I do think the role, like you mentioned, playing more point guard, definitely going to be a positive for him, even just pseudo point guard. It just seems like he's been deferring a lot this year. I mean, his usage at 29% feels like, previous years he would take all the shots, but Trey Murphy keeps his role for the most part. Derek Queen, even though they jerk his minutes around for Yves Missy enough, like Zion does seem to give him a lot of opportunity to keep getting shots up at a comparable usage rate. Even Sadiq Bey is holding steady to 20% usage. I think that does make Zion come down for me, but any sort of consolidation in a single game he can do. I think there's ceiling there, but I don't really get to him at all. It's really only Sadiq Bey and like at 4% Herb Jones, 3% Trey Murphy, 2% Zion. Just not a lot here.
I'm with you on Sadiq Bey. I think he looks so much better than the ownership he's getting right now. Like I would say that I probably like Sadiq Bey more than Kenrich Williams, more than Dort, more than Jalen Williams. So I'm with you. Team Sadiq Bey today.
He's one of those guys where like when things get tough, I feel like he's sometimes the only adult in the room for the Pelicans, where like he'll take shots, like he'll like, oh, you guys keep fucking up, like I'll just get an easy little shot mid range. Like I really respect Sadiq Bey's game because like he gets enough usage up, like but he's he's definitely not a star by any stretch.
More like Sadiq Yay today,
Yeah, everybody lock Sadiq Bey today. See how it is.
On the FanDuel side, Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, both 30% owned. Not as surprising. It's easier to pay up on FanDuel given the positional structures. Then you get Jalen Williams, Kenrich Williams, Lou Dort, and Aaron Wiggins all in that 10 to 15 range. But a little bit heavier on the top end here for the OKC guys on FanDuel in relationship to DraftKings. That puts down the 2 8 o'clock games. We have 2 more at 9 o'clock to go. This one and the next one are disgusting games that are incredibly important for us. That is not the best way to do this, but unfortunately, late night hammer time in both of these. Denver, Detroit, Pistons are 7.5 point favorites in Denver. 214 total. Woof. Karis LeVert is out for the Pistons. No Aaron Gordon, Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, or Jokic for the Nuggets. Jamal Murray, Joe Val, Peyton Watson, all in. 8% ownership to Joe Val is the highest owned guy in this game. We're not waiting on any Q tags. We're not waiting on any real information in this game. So this one just exists in a very low total environment. Do you want to load any ownership into this game for easier late swap purposes later?
No, I mean, you pointed out all the reasons I think when just going through the game breakdown, like the total is so bad. And, the Nuggets total in particular at 104 implied, really bad for them. No Gordon out or no Gordon available, like I think makes the Nuggets worse. And the Pistons have like endless wing defenders to make it tough on Jamal Murray. I don't see that. I mean, I don't know if we want to cover the FanDuel game too, but if we want to save time here, I just got nothing above 7%. I think Cade makes some amount of sense as like a guy you can get to who, again, is like not Ryan Rollins at point guard, who can spike a massive ceiling if the game's competitive and it flows his way. But projection wise, to me, he's like a 4.6x value. I think he's worth 7% ownership. Fields at 5, but like not really getting there any real way. And yeah, he's my highest guy in the game. Got Joe Val at 4, got Tobias at 5. Like I just don't see it here, but I think the game, Josh, is like so ugly that this is one of those games where if it goes nuts and like, oh, it goes for a 240 combined total instead of 215, nobody's going to play it. And then maybe that's its value is just like, this is your game theory game that just Vegas is wrong and the game total is going to go nuts. But man, like every facet of this game just looks like it's going to be Pistons, like 80s Pistons basketball. It's going to shut it all down.
I kind of like the idea of hiding ownership on Cade, Jalen Duren, and Jamal Murray. I don't know how easy that's going to be. Murray, obviously a problematic price tag. I actually like Cade now relative to the 5% ownership he's showing. I am projecting him a bit higher than this. Not like I don't have like 97 fantasy points or something for Cade. It's a relatively normal 50 and change. But I do find Cade to be a little appealing. I don't mind hiding some ownership here to give myself the options, but this is bleak. I don't have much else to say. I certainly don't have anything to say about anybody else. If I'm getting something here, it's the best player on the Denver Nuggets, the best player on the Detroit Pistons, and however you want to determine what Jalen Duren is right now. Maybe the third best player in this game, probably, I guess. That's it. I'm good on the rest of this stuff.
I don't think this guy's a play or anything, but where are you with Peyton Watson? Because he's just like so impressive to me, and I'm not sure if you're gonna go like he's just getting lucky or something. Like he's shooting so well, and like he gets buckets like all over the court in ways I just didn't know was in his bag.
I'm a much bigger believer in Peyton Watson than I was like 2 months ago. I think the Nuggets probably are too, considering they weren't planning to offer him a contract at the end of the season. I think that ship is now gonna sail into offering him a contract. Tough to get to at 7,500 given this like turd of a game environment though.
Yeah.
I'd love to be more interested. I just don't think today is the day. Even in, 37 minutes or whatever he ends up playing.
Yeah, same page. I would like him in softer spots generally, but I just wanted to ask your thoughts on him because I thought you might say something like, he's terrible at this, but like I like his length, like his shooting, like he's been really good for a Nuggets team that needs somebody to be good at this point.
No, I'm a fan. They found something there as a rotation guy at a minimum. I like him. Just not for DFS today. On the FanDuel side, it is slightly different because Joe Val's 5,200. So he is 32% owned. Center only. So right now, Joe Val is making up 30% of the center ownership on FanDuel. Everything else is 10% or below. So all the same story here. It's then Murray, it's then Cunningham, but Joe Val on FanDuel is a completely different item than what he is on DraftKings right now. And then that sends us to the final game. Brooklyn Nets, Phoenix Suns. Kinda. This is more like a two G League teams playing each other. Noah Clowney out for the Nets. Nolan Traore and Cam Thomas both available. Lawrence Frank gets the multi-year extension to continue to shut his mouth about cap circumvention. That's fun to see. Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker out. Jalen Green out. Colin Gillespie questionable. We have a potential mess on our hands in Phoenix. They're already missing some real bodies, and they could be missing even more by the time we get there. 52% ownership coming into a $6,300 Grayson Allen. 20 more for Jordan Goodwin. Close to 20 more for Dylan Brooks. 15 for Royce O'Neal. 10 for Gillespie at this moment. No ownership whatsoever coming into Brooklyn. Are you hiding a bunch of ownership on the Phoenix Suns?
Yes, yeah. I was going to say, you're talking about hiding ownership. I don't think I have to hide a lot of ownership because the Suns are getting so much. And you said Jalen Green questionable. He got downgraded to out. I don't know if you missed that injury update like maybe an hour or so ago.
Wait, did I say that he was questionable?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's clear out on my screen. So if I said that,
Oh,
I was
okay.
probably just getting myself ahead of, like, Gillespie's under him on my list. So I probably just got ahead of myself.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe I
he's out
misheard
on
you.
my
Yeah,
screen.
because
Now,
like
you're probably right.
Jalen
I'm
Green,
stupid.
Jalen Green was the Q tag before. Him being out, I think, makes these guys look better. Gillespie, though, if he's out, I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't take a bunch of shots on these guys. But as it is right now, I'm getting Dylan Brooks at 33%, Fields at 16. He's always popping up in my data. The big thing that stands out for him is when you take Booker off the court, he's putting up 30% usage and he shot terribly, like 45% true shooting. That'll get better for him. He's not been a lights out player this year, only 55% true shooting overall, but he is unafraid to get shots up as Dylan Brooks. So I think it's a positive thing when you're facing the Nets. Grayson Allen, Fields at 55. I'm getting 52 right now. I think he is a core play for me. I would only get more core if Gillespie were out. Gillespie himself, if he's in, I have 11%. Fields at 10. I think he is a solid play. He's technically your best per minute producer for the Suns with Booker off the court, about 1.1 and change. So I think he is a better play than people realize, but 6,900, not so nice of a price tag on DraftKings. Royce O'Neal getting more minutes, 16% for the field. I have 15. So not a priority play, but do think that's an appreciable amount of ownership and be happy to get a little bit more when things update. And if Gillespie's out, I think I would get more. Jordan Goodwin, I think, is okay as well. Fields at 22%. I'm getting right around that. 4,500 shooting guard, small forward. Think he's been a very good producer on the year who sometimes sneaks into lineups for me and does occasionally spike in upside. But if you got Gillespie out, I think the role being secure for him at 4,500, he'd be one of my favorite values on the slate. I like the Suns a lot. Like, I think the situation with Gillespie, if he's out, it's going to get a lot better. But it's taking Booker off. I mean, that's a high usage player is eating up 60% plus the possessions when he's on the court. So these guys should all be better. Just total sucks though.
It does suck really bad, thanks to the lovely Brooklyn Nets. I love getting to everything we're seeing on the screen here, whether that's, obviously a ton of Grayson Allen, which will be easily movable around as you go on through the night. Dylan Brooks, Royce O'Neal. I think Gillespie's probably going to end up under-owned if he ends up playing just because of that Q tag being on his screen for DraftKings and FanDuel for most of the night. I think that ends up interesting. I never know what to do with Mark Williams, but if he's going to be 5% owned, don't hate that idea. Maybe today's one of those days he plays 28 minutes. Do you want to roster anything from Brooklyn? Because I think it's Michael Porter Jr. and nothing. And given the fact that he's 4.5% owned, I think he is quite a bit under-owned.
Yeah, I like MPJ on most slates. It stands out that, and I don't know if it's a spacing thing or just bad luck, but like he's only producing. There we go. You got the chat saying you were right that you said Jalen Green out, so you got that right. Unfortunately, the screen thing you were not. You're not coming up ahead on that one. But yeah, for Michael Porter Jr., it's weird that he's a 1.1 fantasy point per minute player with Clowney off the court and 1.25 with him on the court. I don't know why that would, or the combination of him on and off. I don't know why that would be. What is that?
Yeah, one of these situations gets to have Michael Porter Jr. play his actual position, and the other one makes him play a position that he shouldn't be playing. If Michael Porter Jr. gets to play the 4 more, he's going to be better.
No, but he's worse playing 4. He's worse when Clowney's off. He's only putting up 1.1. It's really weird. So, because my thought was spacing. It's like you need the spacing there. You lose a 3-point gunner and Clowney. Maybe he's not benefiting as much. He's not rebounding more, so he's not gaining anything really from being a 4.
Interesting. I thought you told me the opposite of that, which made sense to me. That now does not make sense to me.
Yeah, what you said this morning on the strategy show, I'm like, oh, he probably gets more rebounds. And it's like, no, he's just been like, and again, it just could be the weird splits or something, but like, I don't know why he would be produced like 0.1 less per minute is like noteworthy.
Yeah. I don't know how he's 4.5% owned today. I don't get it. Like, I get this game sucks. I have him projected the same way we do, but much more optimal. And I also just want to have him for all of this bullshit that's going to happen. Like, this is a 9:00 game. Like, what if Brooklyn just wins? Like, it's probably because of him. I don't understand why he's as low as owned as he is. It's a tough position to fill. Typically, I will happily have like 20 or 30% of Michael Porter Jr. heading into lock and just deal with it as we go. This is the easiest thing in the world to me. I don't know why he's so low owned. I get that it's been like tapering off a bit. It's Phoenix, man. Like with no Devin Booker. This is a Michael Porter Jr. game. I don't get the ownership. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I'm up on the field on him too. I hope he plays well, but if he didn't, it's because Noah Clowney's not there. He really needs his moral support. Maybe they have a heated rivalry thing going.
Maybe. Anything else for Brooklyn? I can't justify it in any way. There's not a single name I would think of. Honestly, the guy I'd be most likely to get to is like Zaire Williams, and that makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, so I saw you're popping in some top ROI lineups with Stokastic Sim earlier. Not sure if that's the case now. I suppose he could hit a shooting guard, small forward. Yeah, I got Terrence Mann at 4%. I think he does gain a little bit rate wise from having Clowney off, but yeah, I don't think there's a lot besides MPJ here.
Well, that locks down the DraftKings slate, and we needed every single second of it. 6 o'clock on the dot with some change. Greg Ehrenberg, Eric Lindquist, get on in. We used the full 60 minutes today, boys and girls.
Boy, Josh,
Probably
like the Michael Jordan meme, Josh is fuck FanDuel instead of fuck them kids, because Josh hits his time allotment and he is like, no, there will be no FanDuel conversation to be had. Where Eric and I can handle it, though. We do have Kawhi Leonard listed as questionable. Maybe, at least I can. I don't know what the hell is going on with Eric there. But
I have no clue either. I'm the black box today, so that's cool. On the world, I'll come back in.
Good to know.
So we'll
chill till Eric gets back.
Yeah, you don't have to. At the very least, I will cover the FanDuel slate for today. And most notably, we do have Kawhi Leonard, who is questionable play today. I will ask you guys one question before you leave. Just one question. Kawhi Leonard, in or out? Josh, you go first, and then we'll have Spags answer also.
For reference, I covered FanDuel for every single point until the time we got to right now. So let's not act like I ignored it.
All right.
Either way.
I mean, it doesn't matter, though. Yeah. I mean, like Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers, not even an important game to the slate.
Kawhi Leonard in.
Spags?
I'll go. I'll just go the opposite. I was going to go in. I thought you were going to go out. I'll go Kawhi Leonard out because I care about FanDuel so much, and I want them to really think about it now.
All right, Josh and Spags, thank you guys very much. Have a good night. Good luck with your lineups. Eric, I might as well ask you for posterity. Kawhi, Josh just completely neglected the FanDuel slate. Told everybody to go fuck themselves. Do you think Kawhi plays or sits today?
So just a day ending in Y for Josh. I think Kawhi plays, but I'm not in any way going to take any kind of 80% stand on him today. I'll call it 51% he plays, 49% he doesn't. Chris Dunn, that looks pretty fun. Kobe Sanders looks pretty fun. Jordan Miller looks pretty fun. Anybody wearing a Clippers jersey looks pretty fun in the event that you don't have him out there. Oh yeah, James Harden, Ivica Zubac against Kyle Filipowski on the interior, who unfortunately I really like from a betting perspective, as does our props tool, which is a great diving off point here for today.
Yeah, I mean, we could pull up that game as well. By the way, my best guess, I think Kawhi ends up sitting today. It's not a super strong guess, but that's just the way I always lean. If Kawhi's questionable, I tend to think it hasn't always been the case with the Clippers this year, but it's certainly been the case in previous years. If Kawhi is questionable on the injury report, more often than not, he's somebody who teams tend to err on the side of caution with. But let's see. If we go and we look at that game in the props tool, I'll go to the market-based projections instead of just our projections, just from a standpoint of, players questionable in that game, most notably Kawhi. We've got, Markkanen now has been upgraded to probable, but how many minutes does he play? That's definitely a little bit iffy for me. So we'll look at what the market has to say about it. And let's see. We've got some value showing up on the unders on Markkanen. I could get behind that. That makes sense from a standpoint of there's definitely a little bit of downside for his minutes. And then also you see like it's plus money on some of these unders, plus money on under 7.5 rebounds plus assists, plus money on under 31.5 PRA. So
Kyle Filipowski, 19.5 PRA over is where I'm definitely at as well. So I just don't think Lauri Markkanen plays some gobsmack of minutes. I mean, didn't we get conditioning as like the reason he hadn't played for the last 2 games, like an absolute BS injury designation where it's like, oh yeah, we're tanking / we also wouldn't mind unloading you if the price is right at the deadline. So the Jazz obviously not in the business of winning basketball games, even though Nurkic triple-double. You wouldn't think that at times, but they play again tomorrow, another big deal where maybe they just do play Lauri Markkanen 32 minutes, but I'm thinking they play just a ton of Filipowski and bring Nurkic back.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I mean, it also kind of correlates together. Even if you were to build out a same game parlay, unders on Lauri Markkanen with overs for Filipowski, which we're already kind of projecting, or at least the market is, that those are the angles to go. I think that makes a lot of sense as a correlation to play together as another way.
might be something you throw up on tails too. So we've got the prop tool here over at Stokastic. We've got tails where you're going to be able to give that kind of feedback and throw the single game parlays together, which is definitely your bag, baby, by Austin Powers. So to check out both of those in conjunction together, you're going to make yourself some money, honey, over any long-term sample size with Greg Ehrenberg on your team. So I'll be checking out both of those.
Are you ready for a team that makes less money?
Fuck no.
All right. Well, Sir Mackey Loves Pie, who's been leaving us. He's on a Hall of Fame run of super chats. I don't know about this one, though. The Mets are the greatest team in sports history. If a nuclear missile hit the country and every team got wiped out but the Mets, I would still not call the Mets the best team in baseball.
I don't know. I've been doing a lot of my MLB stuff because I'm getting an extra early jump on it this year. I love the Polanco signing. I think the Polanco signing is such a good Mets signing. Get a guy who doesn't strike out a lot at the top of that lineup, a switch hitter where they've missed that optionality now. I mean, Francisco Lindor had a bad year to start off last year, found a little bit of form later on. It was just a tough sledding situation for him. But now you get another one of those bats up top or higher in the order. I mean, obviously, we know he's very, very strong from his left side, a little bit weaker from his right. So he does mirror a little bit of what we get from Lindor. But just situational hitting is going to be much better. Freddie Peralta to eat up some innings there in that lineup. I really like their top three. I mean, there's some interesting stuff about the Mets this year where I think they're one of the better World Series bets as I was looking at it yesterday.
Well, look at this. I mean, no Mets slander we've gotten here. And look, and now a bunch of people upset that there's a baseball being talked about as well. So really a nut low super chat that was left here by Sir Mackey Loves Pie because he incited baseball conversation, which
sure did.
That was something many people, not a mass fan. I haven't started to look ahead to the baseball season quite yet, but who gives a shit? We've got basketball here to talk about. And there is one other key piece of injury news that's relevant to the DraftKings and the FanDuel slate in a very, very major way that we should also discuss here, Eric. So we hit on the Kawhi Leonard injury, which is, really just important more so for the FanDuel side of things. It's the only slate that has that game on its main. You've got Joel Embiid. He's questionable, but considering that game is starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time, it's not as important, believe it or not, as the Colin Gillespie injury because Gillespie for today, with him being questionable, in addition to Devin Booker being out, if there's no Gillespie and there's no Booker, we've got all kinds of value on the Phoenix Suns, and their game starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So the final block of games of the entire night, there's only 2 9 p.m. games, Detroit, Denver, Phoenix, Brooklyn. So it's kind of important that we're on the right side of this. What are you going to do with Gillespie for tonight?
It's really hard. I think this is probably the thing that I want to talk the most with you about is what we're looking at here. Last night, I liked 212.5 a lot. And then this news, and obviously it's dipped down to like 210.5. And I mean, it's just kind of gotten to be really, really, really wonky. But the Suns back home, we obviously had them on a road trip. You just had Brooklyn with some of the most wonky games you could ever ask for in a million years. Both teams have shot the ball so abysmal. That was the thing that stood out to me. I did like last 5, last 10, and over the course of the season, 48.5% effective field goal percentage for Brooklyn over their last 5, over their last 10, a little bit higher in the 49s. But like we're talking, one of the worst shooting offensive numbers, period. I think this game environment is better than what is being portrayed. And then whenever you take Devin Booker, Jalen Green off the floor, there's just so much opportunity. I mean, Grayson Allen has a 19.5 point prop against the slowest and like worst offensive team on the other side in Brooklyn, where it's a 210.5 total, and yet I don't really give a shit. Dylan Brooks has started to eat up so much usage on this team, it's not even funny. And then Jordan Goodwin would potentially be the best play on the entire slate in the event that you didn't have Colin Gillespie in there. So right now, I pre-built him into a ton of lineups. I'm hoping something breaks our direction there because Detroit-Denver, there's quite a bit to like there. And even though positionally, it's not perfect because Jamal Murray, the guy that, it's a tough spot taking on Detroit there in Denver, but you do have Jonas Valanciunas back, so that's not as helpful to Watson or Murray, and they're expensive. And Colin Gillespie and Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks, I mean, these are all mid-range guys. So like what it really does is it just kind of helps you get those lineup spots accounted for, have some extra salary to spread around, but like, I don't want to get left holding the bag. And I guess one of the dudes who I'm just boosting right now, Michael Porter Jr. ended up betting him too and had some pick 'em with him. I'm nervous about this entire late night window. And if you get Gillespie in, it would be really annoying considering it's a hand sprain. Like, I don't know how that is as opposed to like a break or something where it's just like, you kind of know that morning whether you're playing or not. A late downgrade has me leaning him out, but like, I just don't know. I just don't know.
So it didn't end up mattering well, actually, it kind of did end up mattering the late news because we got the unexpected news with Anthony Edwards. In terms of what you did with the Warriors when we went through that at the top of the show, like that part didn't end up mattering because we got both Draymond and Steph Curry ruled out well in advance of the start of the slate. But for this sort of conversation, I'm going to address it the same way as I did yesterday when we were speculating on whether Steph Curry and Draymond Green were going to be in or whether they were going to be out. I just think there's more upside in building lineups with Gillespie out and just getting to a shit ton of. So I look at my lineups right now, and I have a ton of Jordan Goodwin, a ton of Grayson Allen, a decent amount of Dylan Brooks is a little bit more of a, not like crazy contrarian play, but he's 15% owned right now. I really like taking Gillespie out, having these guys in, and then if he ends up playing, it's not like it's the end of the world if I have Jordan Goodwin and Grayson Allen in a bunch of lineups anyway, just because of Booker already being out.
Yeah, do you agree that just if ownership holds on where everybody's at right now, we just want to like jam Jordan Goodwin to the moon? Like 21.5% is just unbelievably low. And this guy fills out a box score. Like he's a rebounding guard. He's a rebounder. Like there is no question looking at his rates that Jordan Goodwin's a dude that I just want to jam at 4,500 shooting guard, small forward. That's 5 spots, best positionality you can get on DraftKings. I currently have him in like nearly 100% of lineups. And so not going to give him the Luka Doncic treatment where it's 100%, not going to give him the Bones Highland where I got to like 60%. I got second in like the second iteration of the $4, $1 yesterday. And then let's see what else. There was one other one. Oh yeah, obviously we all jammed Spencer. I don't want to say which first name because I forgot by now, but thank you. Love the idea of just having tons of those guys, pre-baking them into lineups, and if I have to spread it around, I do, and I'll live with the result.
Yeah, so as far as the Embiid news, I don't have as strong of a lean on Joel Embiid. It's hard because he gets listed as questionable every single game, so it's to me like every game he's 50-50 to play in. But the good thing is there's only one game that starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's the Wizards in Portland game. Then you've got the 7:30 game, Kings, Knicks. Then you get more later games for today. So I don't know about you. I'm not doing too much with the Joel Embiid news for right now.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a lean on it? Because I definitely have a lean on it. I mean, I don't think he plays considering this could just be a really good break of time that they can build in before the All-Star game. He's looked incredible, and deploying him in a spot where you're 10-point favorites as opposed to Thursday where you're playing Sabonis and the Kings. I know that the Kings are absolutely dog shit terrible as well. So, I mean, it's like you're holding him out to play another dog shit team or whatever, but like, this feels like a really nice pocket of games for them to give him some extended breaks. But yeah, he's warming up. I would assume he plays, but I'm just saying that like there's a world where
wait, I'm confused. Didn't you say you think he's out?
No. I must have said it backwards. I think he plays, but I'm saying that it wouldn't surprise me if they keep him out just because it's two really easy opponents this week. The All-Star breaks in 2 weeks. There's an opportunity if they want to potentially just give him that extended break, because this has been the Joel Embiid that was promised to Philly fans forever. Like, you got to be pretty excited about a Philly fan looking around the Eastern Conference and its current spots. Brown has done a terrible job with the Knicks. They've regressed in a big way in so many different facets. Defensively, have found tons of issues. Brunson and Cat not really getting the offense together the same way. It's been fascinating. Obviously, team only meeting and playing Brooklyn, that fixes a lot of problems. But I definitely feel good about what I've seen from Philly if they can have a healthy Joel Embiid, which is always a big if.
So for what it's worth, going over to the projections in the props tool again and just going to all market based, it does look like some of the unders looking pretty solid for the 76ers. So in the event that Joel Embiid does play, then some of these unders do look pretty good. Paul George, under 5.5 rebounds, for instance. Tyrese Maxey, under 27.5 points. By the way, the Stokastic projections, we have Maxey in for 25.5 0.4 points right now. So it does look like the unders in the market-based model looking good for the 76ers. So take that for what it's worth. In the event there's no Joel Embiid, it kind of looks like players are priced maybe a little bit of a hedge of him being in or out. So some unders on 76ers would look good if Joel Embiid ends up playing. If I just said before I didn't have a lean, I didn't look to see, just somebody in chat said he's warming up. I didn't verify that looking online. If he is warming up like normal right now, I feel pretty decent that he ends up playing. I don't know if that's actually the case. I'll have to look that up for myself.
Yeah, on these shows, I've got my beat writers, I got the NBA DFS news, I've got all these Twitter lists that I've had created from other people that I've created over the years that are people that I like to follow, that I trust. I haven't seen him warm up yet. I'm usually looking at that stuff while around the shows because otherwise, what do I add of use? Absolutely nothing. I'm pointless. Greg could do this by himself.
Yeah, I found it, by the way. He's warming up like normal.
Okay, I'm looking through the Twitter list. I don't see anything. So I guess I'm just completely useless. I'm watching Denny Avdija warm up right now. And let me tell you, he hasn't hit a shot in this little corner drill that he's doing. It's pretty wild. Denny Avdija. These are gigantic numbers on him against Washington in first game back.
Yeah, I will post the tweet and the video that I just found on Twitter. I'll throw that into the YouTube chat so people could verify it for themselves. But yeah, that definitely has me feeling it's still Joel Embiid, but I'll say like 75% Joel Embiid plays as opposed to him sitting for tonight. Let's see what we got here. What do we got here from Super Chats? We've got from 1-2. He is 79.99% sure that Gillespie sits today. Eric, thoughts?
You're a twat.
Well, that's not nice. We've also got a super chat from Miami Mike. He says, my little brother just turned 51. He's a workaholic. You mentioned work and he gets drunk. He joined AA. He's still drunks, but okay. So
speaking of drunk,
I thought this was going somewhere. There was a question.
No.
Boy, this I like the Ronnie Dangerfield style joke that you gave us the other day, Miami Mike. My opinion on this one is 0 out of 10 stars.
Yeah. My best friend's sober. So yeah, really funny joke. Hilarious. Great. Keep it going.
There we go. All right, Miami Mike, thank you very much for the super chat. And yeah, your Heat not on for tonight. So he's looking for other sources of entertainment there. Anything else as far as news goes that you're really keeping your eye on for tonight? We've hit on the key guys that are questionable, but anything else you have your eye on?
Yeah, Quentin Grimes. If Quentin Grimes doesn't play, Kelly Oubre 40 minutes, very much in play, would become one of my favorite plays of the slate, bar none, in the event that we get Kelly Oubre on an island here. Again, Joel Embiid being out would be nifty, but if we get Quentin Grimes out, they've just shown that they're not going to play Jabari Walker or Edwards, like much, if at all. And there's just an opportunity for an endless amount of minutes for Kelly Oubre.
Could certainly be the case. I mean, we've seen some big games out of him with the 76ers being shorthanded in some recent games. He's a little bit more expensive than he was, but that'll happen when he was like nearly min price in some of those games where there was no Joel Embiid and no Paul George, and he ended up starting. But let's see what else we have for super chats. We've got Andrew May, and then I'll go into the Discord questions right after this. If you guys are a Stokastic sub, not only does it come with access to our props tool, it is free with any Stokastic sub right now, but also gets you access to our Discord channel. You can ask Eric and I questions whenever you want and throughout the shows for us to answer. Let's see what we've got here. He wants to know favorite plays at each position on FanDuel. All right, so let's answer for the FanDuel side of things. I will also put our FanDuel projections up here on screen while we answer it. So, Eric, starting at the point guard position, who's your favorite point guard for FanDuel tonight?
For FanDuel, going to be Gillespie.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
I am going to go with James Harden because I think that Gillespie sits, and I also think that Kawhi ends up sitting.
If he doesn't play, I just switch him out. But Collier's the mega chalk, and I just didn't want to say him.
Shooting guard, that is going to be Ryan Rollins. Small forward, that for me is going to be Dylan Brooks.
Grayson Allen, close second.
Power forward, I will go with Sar's a good piece of chalk. He shows up a ton if you run the Sims for us over on FanDuel. So Sar, really strong option. I'll go with a kind of modestly owned Bobby Portis against the 76ers with no Giannis.
I'll go Jalen Williams with a Y.
All right. And then finally, the center position. I'll go with Sar at center.
I'll go Zubats because Zubats versus Filipowski is not a fair fight.
By the way, also over on FanDuel, Zubats also somebody who stands to benefit if Kawhi ends up sitting. Valanciunas also looks like a really good center option. It's loaded center position over on the FanDuel side of things.
Yeah, it's nice to have center get good again, over, like on both sites on a slate. Like center has been so dog doo-doo. Like we've been playing like punt Kada and 24 minutes of Jonas Valanciunas every slate. Jonas Valanciunas looks better as he's going to get ramped up, and we got Embiid playing ball. We got Jalen with a Y Williams, who I always love. I love that dude. I'm convinced if he was on another team, we'd talk a lot about Jalen with a Y Williams and a couple of these other guys on OKC because they're just flat out good.
All right. We've got an interesting question here from Chad. He wants to know thoughts on Bouye for today. So he is not going to project well for us right now, but he's very contingent on there being no Gillespie for the Suns. If Gillespie plays, you look at the projection we have here, 10 minutes, 9 fantasy points. But what would you be doing with him in the event that Gillespie sits? Does he start to become somebody who's interesting and in play for us?
Yeah, he becomes in play. I don't think he becomes like crazy interesting. Grayson Allen probably does a lot of the ball handling. Igor is an okay defender. Dunks and threes kind of been pretty bullish on him as a defender so far in a pretty short sample size this season. I went through all of the Brooklyn pieces because anytime there's a total that's sticking out that much to me, I like to go through the individual pieces. And, you know, when we got the news that Noah Clowney was going to be out and Tyrese Martin's already out, even though he probably would have been out of the rotation as of right now anyway, Terrence Mann has been a horrific defender this season. Michael Porter Jr., never known for his defense, that's for sure. And it just becomes a spot where I think everybody on the Phoenix side, we know Brooklyn sucks. We know that even though they play slow, there's going to be efficient offense on the other side. So yeah, Bouye, I don't think he ends up getting a start. I think Jordan Goodwin by far the most likely guy to slide into that starting lineup. They could do Ryan Dunn, I suppose, at the 4 if they wanted to slide everybody down and play Grayson point Grayson. But the thing that makes the most sense to me is Bouye off the bench, 20 minutes. That would definitely put him in play.
Yeah, especially because he's just so cheap at $3,100. So we have him projected not great as a fantasy point per minute guy, but not terrible either, 0.86. But just think of it this way. Let's say that there's no Gillespie and you give him 22 minutes, which that's probably, I assume we'd be projecting him like 20 to 22 minutes, somewhere around that range. Then you're looking at him for like 18 to 20 fantasy points, which at $3,100 and presumably low ownership because he's not somebody people are going to be preloading into lineups. Yeah, wouldn't go crazy with him, but more or less like Eric said, in play, not somebody we're going to get to as much as like Spencer last night, but would he show up in like 20 to 25% of lineups if you're set up well the late swap? Yeah, somewhere around there.
But just to let you know this, like just to say this, because like obviously I was talking, hey, I think Spencer's kind of an interesting tournament option. Guy, I'm going to get like 20. And then we updated the projection on him in real time. And it was like, oh shit. And then he started. Oh shit again. It's just like everything ended up breaking where he was just unbelievable chalk. He didn't do anything till the fourth quarter, really, and he was just a smash. It's incredible how stuff like that pops up. Bouye would not look remotely close to what Cam Spencer did yesterday. Or Pat Spencer.
Unless, who knows? Maybe he somehow walks into a start or something like that. Not like we were expecting Spencer to start yesterday. But yeah. And keep in mind, only in the event that Gillespie sits. If Gillespie plays, then absolutely not. Absolutely not in that kind of scenario.
What do you think about Cason Wallace? That's the last piece of injury news to talk about, period. Does it even matter to you? They ended up starting Isaiah Joe last time out. I don't think I care all that much. I get worried that people will, Isaiah Joe remains 4,200. The last game, he didn't play particularly well by any means. I don't think anything really emerges for me. Like, Aaron Wiggins is 4,900. That's fine. He's going to play low 30s, high 20s minutes, no matter what. So it doesn't really change it for me. But like, do you care about the Cason Wallace Q tag whatsoever outside of like, maybe we get Kenrich Williams starting?
I guess it depends what the starting lineup is, but in general, I don't think it will mean a ton for my lineups. Just like you said, we got an Isaiah Joe start recently. Jalen Williams with a Y was expected to start that game. Instead, he comes off the bench, but he starts the second half over Isaiah Joe. Whoever starts the first half, it doesn't mean they have to start the second half. And then also, just somebody could play better off the bench. So you could just get weird rotations in minutes. Like, obviously, it helps the tertiary players for the Thunder if there is no Case and Walls. I just can't imagine that all of a sudden means they get to like 30% or something like that of any of the OKC role players.
Good. I just wanted to touch on it because I know we'll get a starting lineup and it might be wonky, especially if we get Case and Wallace out. So hard to really tell you what's going to happen there. It's probably going to pale in comparison to anything on the Phoenix side. So I don't like, even though Phoenix is more expensive, the minutes are just so much more there. It's a little bit more diluted there on the OKC side. Thought we should at least touch on it.
You know what this week is, Eric?
What is this week, Greg?
It is everybody's favorite sporting event, the Pro Bowl. But also what that means is that there's going to be no football this week.
Shedeur Sanders.
A lot of people might be looking to play some other DFS sports this weekend, and we've got you covered. Because it is Pro Bowl week, you could sign up for any Stokastic package with the promo code PRO, just 3 letters, PRO, all capital letters. There's a link down below in the YouTube description box. And you get 30% off any package, whether you want to sign up for a weekly package, a monthly package. Great time to take advantage of any other DFS package to take advantage of your NFL free weekend. So if you want to check out MMA this weekend, or maybe, presumably a lot of you guys watching here already play NBA, but who knows, maybe you guys just watch the shows, you haven't tried any of our packages, sign up with the promo code PRO and get yourself 30% off. And any Stokastic package you have does come with access to our new props tool as well. So go ahead and check that out. Once again, link down below in the YouTube description box. Let's get to Discord, Eric. Let's see what we got waiting for us in Discord.
We had a super chat too. A couple of them.
Oh, did we get a couple more super chats?
We sure did. Jorge, my guy Jorge. Got to give him love. And then Langston Cole.
All right. Let's see. We've got Holden here. We've got from Holden thoughts on Schroeder versus DeRozan and PJ Watson. All right. Let's see. So as far as DeRozan versus Schroeder, I don't have any lineups with DeRozan in them, Eric.
Yeah, I really don't like anything. If we get Nick Clifford, like I assume Clifford's going to start again here, but I can't really imagine that I want to prioritize any of these guys as 15-point dogs against the Knicks, who finally woke up and played some defense for once in their freaking lives. Keon Ellis still exists, so it's not like Malik Monk being out changes a ton there. Schroeder's been better, but like, again, I just don't love playing anything. My favorite tournament play on the Sacramento side still is Russell Westbrook at 7,900, and I have like 3% of him. I'm really not playing anything from Sacramento today.
As far as Dennis Schroeder versus DeRozan, I have a couple lineups, but like I don't even see where there's like a 1v1 where you're trying to choose in between playing them. But generally, neither of them are very strong options for the slate. As far as Peyton Watson goes, he's been great for Denver as of late. He's just really pricey now. I don't have Watson showing up in lineups.
Yeah, that game is awful on DraftKings for what it's worth. FanDuel, there's some mispriced pieces. I mean, Joe Val is a completely different piece over there. Jamal Murray, I brought him up. He is 10K now. So as I said, like, you're really hard pressed to move things around off of Brooklyn Phoenix and make it work the way that you want. I don't hate the idea of like maybe a lineup or two of Peyton Watson in 150, but like if you're talking about one lineup, 20 max, there's just no way he breaks it.
Yeah, for sure. Single entry, not playing either of them. Not playing any of those three guys. I think best off just avoiding all three of those players. There's decent value on today's slate. Just play better guys on points per dollar sense. Jorge is playing the 777 tonight. Best contrarian low owned plays for that tournament. All right, so I am going to go with Dylan Brooks. 15% owned. I think that is somebody who really makes sense in the event that there's no Gillespie for today. Let's see who else. Super low owned.
I got a nuke. There will be a nuke. Low owned. I mean, I think some of the chalk is good. Like Ryan Rollins, say what you want. The rates without Giannis and without KPJ have just been ridiculous. He's going to be 8K real quick. Grayson Allen, ridiculous. Shooting guard, small forward. Trey Johnson, ridiculous. 4,900 without CJ McCollum, without Corey Kispert. Kaishan George looks really, really good. Shooting guard only, but shooting guard's always kind of a disgusting position. Less so with Grayson Allen there, but Jordan Goodwin, one of my favorite plays of the slate. These are all popular guys that I really like. There's one low-owned one. I talked about Jalen Williams that I like. He's 16%, I suppose. There's one really low-owned one that we'll talk about later, but I guess Kenrich Williams, just in the event that he ends up getting the start, 4,800. I think that's an interesting one for the 777, where if we get double the ownership on a Jalen Williams, if we get something else that, doesn't work out like the Nick Clifford that I talked about there for a second, I think there's a lot of ways where contrarian low owned, a couple of those guys make some sense. And we just got the starting lineup for the Wizards. It's what we expected, I believe. Yeah.
All right.
So Middleton's back starting. Never mind.
I do like that he asked best contrarian low owned plays and just immediately listed all of the most popular plays on the slate.
But you did give him 10%.
You gave him an answer at the end.
Whatever. Middleton's starting. So just be nice to me.
Yeah. George, Trey Johnson, Koulibaly, Middleton, Sarr. That's your starting unit tonight for the Washington Wizards. But yeah, Jorge, my answer there is I'm going with Dylan Brooks, who I can't believe how well he's played for Phoenix this year. But I mean, he is not afraid to take shots. He's not afraid to take shots when Booker's off the court, certainly, or when he's on the court. So certainly not when Booker's off the court. So I think the possibility of no Gillespie today, he just looks like somebody who's under-owned to me, who's showing up in a good amount of lineups with ownership in the teens.
This is the worst take ever. Alan is going to send you all to bed early. He's in the last game of the night. So even if he plays terrible, no, he won't. Goodbye. What a dumb comment. All right, continue.
That is true. That is we just go to bed before he starts his game.
Yeah, I literally work till like 10:30 every night. So no, I'm going to be sitting right here. Don't tell me what to do. I'm a grown man, I think.
I would be concerned with multiple aspects of this, but Langston Cole, top 3 value plays on DraftKings. And apropos of nothing, he also adds in his girlfriend has a crush on Josh.
Your girlfriend has poor taste.
Interesting. My girlfriend has a crush on that guy, the meme who sits on the edge of the bed, the big black gentleman. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh my God.
She loves him. Talks about him all the time. Anyway, top 3 value plays on DraftKings, and then the other part of this as well. All right, so top 3 value plays. I'm going to go with Jordan Goodwin, who is pulling some ownership now, but nothing crazy. But in the event that there's no Gillespie, he just becomes the best play on the slate. So I'm going to go Jordan Goodwin. I'm going to go Trey Johnson. And
does Ryan Rollins count as value? I think that kind of counts as value, him and Portis.
You could count them if you want.
Yeah,
I'm going to go a little bit cheaper, but I don't have an issue with you including them.
Yeah, I'll do that. And if you want to get different, Cole Anthony, we haven't even talked about him. He goes from being completely irrelevant to like, oh shit, Cole Anthony's about to play actual minutes today. So that's cool. Charles Bassey won't make Sixers season debut. That makes me think Embiid's playing. So there you go.
I need one more. I guess I'll throw Nick Clifford in, but there, as far as cheap guys go, there's a pretty big drop off.
Yeah.
Pretty big drop off. All right, let's see what else we've got here. We've got Ace of Spade wants to know the best options for DK tiers. Absolutely. Let's pull that up. Who are the best looking options for DK tiers for today? All right. Let's start in tier 1.
Tears for Fears, baby.
App loading a little slow for me right now. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Tier 1 on DraftKings. I'm going to go with Cade.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham.
I'm going SGA. SGA.
I'm going Cade.
Tier 2, we have Denny Avdia, Jalen Brunson.
I'm done talking shit about Denny, and it's Denny, but whatever.
Any concerns about his minutes for today?
Yeah, a lot of concerns about his minutes, but he's also playing Washington, and it's just you got Cat and Towns playing together, and you got Holmgren just sitting on the side watching SGA. If you're going to play SGA, I definitely wouldn't play Chat. You could potentially go there if you didn't, but yeah, Denny Avdia, it's gross.
All right, we'll go with Denny as well. Tier 3, we've got MPJ, we've got Trey Murphy, we've got Domantas Sabonis, Zion Williamson, we've got Jalen Duren, we've got Russell Westbrook, who does not fit in with the other guys in that tier. No. I am going to go with Porter.
Yeah, we like Porter today.
Tier 4, Sarr, Sharp, Rollins, DeRozan, Peyton Watson. Yeah, it's Ryan Rollins for me.
Ryan Rollins by a lot.
Tier 5, we've got Keyshawn George, we've got Josh Hart, we've got VJ Edgecombe, Donovan Clingan, we've got, this is interesting. Then you got Brooks, you've got Gillespie, you've got Kamara. I like going with Brooks here and then potentially swapping him to Gillespie later on the night if Gillespie plays. People are probably not going to be playing him in tiers. And then, I mean, if you already have Brooks in there and Gillespie's out, I think he's the best guy in the tier anyway. So give me Dylan Brooks with a potential swap to Gillespie.
100% agree. Oh, I should probably uncheck these guys. Because I always just click on like the first thing that pops up, and it was the 888 qualifier, 880 NBA tier satellite, and I almost reserved it, and it would fill it. That would be bad. That would be very bad.
Let's be pod committed to tiers.
Oh my God.
Tier 6, we've got Drew Holiday, we've got Mikal Bridges, Nick Claxton, OG Anunoby, Derek Queen, Grayson Allen, Bobby Portis, Valanciunas. I'll go Grayson Allen.
Yeah, I love these bottom two that are right above J-Val there. Allen and Portis, I mean, to have them at the bottom of the tier, like I think your edge of the slate is just because there's so many people who hand build tiers relative to playing other DFS contests where we're obviously using optimizers and the Sims tool nonstop. So I can't imagine that Allen and Portis are going to be as high owned as they should be in that tier. So Allen, but Portis is a nice contrarian option.
And the next super chat we have here, it is, it's a shout out from Aaron Random, but Eric called Precious Achiuwa the last time he played the Knicks. He dropped 49 on FanDuel. Eric, worth a shot again, or is it different circumstances?
Different circumstances to some extent, but Precious Achiuwa does not like the New York Knicks. We definitely talked about that one in depth when they played in Sacramento. It's a little different here. They have Mitchell Robinson. I don't think they had Mitchell Robinson for that other game. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember exactly, but I remember there was some reason that I liked Precious specifically. Maybe somebody else was out. Something was different about the circumstance there. Obviously, you have Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, Keegan Murray all out today, so that helps. But I just don't think Precious Achiuwa is one of those dudes that we can rely on for that same kind of production. Minutes have been down. He's not good. Can't imagine that that's somebody that I want to call out of thin air again.
So here's who was out for the Kings for that game. So we had no Sabonis, no Keegan Murray, no Dennis Schroeder for that game. And then a handful of the just peripheral role players were out.
And he was really low owned. They were shorthanded, but he was really low owned on like the late slate for that. And I loved it. And we talked about that for whatever reason on this show. But yeah, that was for FanDuel specifically. I liked Precious a lot and came to Precious revenge. That is for damn sure that was, but I do not expect it here. Sabonis back. That's the big difference.
Yeah. They had an 8-man rotation for that game.
Useful.
So, useful. They were shorthanded. I don't remember that slate, but good call by Eric. I'll give him props for it anyway. Miami Mike, he's giving out his nuke of the night. So, Eric, I guess we should give ours out as well. Miami Mike, he's going with, I definitely like the Goodwin call. Karl Anthony Towns and Jordan Goodwin. That is who Miami Mike has for his nukes. So now it's time for Eric and I to give out ours. All right, Eric, I'm interested. You like to tease your nuke of the nights as we go. You'd be like, oh, I've got the answer, but I can't say it. It's going to be the nuke I give out later. So I need to know who's your guy today.
Yeah, I absolutely cannot tell you how despicable that basketball game was that we were all forced to watch at noon or 3 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. The Charlotte Hornets just took the skull of the Philadelphia 76ers and they stacked them accordingly like it was The Walking Dead and they were building a wall. It was absurd. It was complete fuckery on the 76ers side. That being said, it was nice to have some limited minutes for some guys. And I kind of alluded to this earlier, but one of the things about this slate is that I love the Phoenix Suns just like everybody else. So where can we potentially get a little bit different? And I love that this guy is shooting guard, small forward as well, where that fits him into 5 other lineup spots. He gives him more chances at potentially being optimal or being the guy you need. He also played very few minutes because they got bludgeoned. And he was the guy, even though he was like, I think a minus 40 looking at the box score yesterday. He's still the guy that I think was most offensively forward on the entire team. I expect the usage to come up. We also have Joel Embiid questionable, where that would definitely tip the scales here, but pay attention to the Quentin Grimes news because I already have well over 2.6% of this guy. I could end up well north of that if we get Quentin Grimes out. Kelly Oubre, Tsunami Poppy, nuke of the night. Too good of positionality not to recommend him as a great tournament option.
I've brought him up a few times over the course of the show. Dillon Brooks this year, 35% usage rate with Devin Booker off the court. So that's already pretty substantial. Then if you take, you start to get to a really small sample size. If you take Booker and Gillespie off the court, you're looking at just minutes in the 60s at that point. With both of them off the court, it goes to a 37% usage rate for Dillon Brooks. It's so many shot attempts for, by the way, his efficiency also goes way down. He's shooting 37% from the field with Booker off the court this year. But the shot, this goes to show, even with him being that inefficient with Booker off the court this season, he has not stopped chucking in those kind of scenarios. I just like the scoring opportunity for Dillon Brooks with Booker out tonight.
Everything in a Phoenix jersey looks really, really good to me. Jordan Goodwin, I'm well over the field on. Royce O'Neal, Dillon Brooks, Grayson Allen. And I repeat, I don't think it can be emphasized enough how nice and useful it is to have shooting guard, small forward be the primary position of all of these dudes. They just fit into lineups easier. They fit in so well. And that's kind of my thinking as far as how I think Kelly Oubre has multiple paths at low ownership. I'm really trying to pick and choose a couple of guys to potentially make a stand on. For the FanDuel slate, we obviously have Kawhi to contemplate where, already Zubats looks awesome. James Harden looks pretty decent. Like everybody's playing Utah, and then it could get really, really nuclear. So backloading to that game as opposed to just the Phoenix stuff. And then kind of like as lineups come out, as news comes out, just kind of updating and moving your pieces forward in the night, I think makes a lot of sense. But yeah, for me, the slate really starts with that Philly game. Once the Philly game starts, I'm really going to be taking off of this slate. We'll see what happens with Case and Wallace, but I'm not playing a ton of Portland. I'm playing a little bit of Washington, not playing a ton of Sacramento where the field is. Have a couple of the expensive guys from New York, but I think Philly can end up being a team that I end up playing way too much of for tournaments.
I have a lot of I find Alex Sarr to be a really good option for today. Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson. I'm underweight to the field on George and Johnson, but I find it hard to just avoid them in lineups. They do project really well on a points per dollar basis.
Yeah, you didn't hear me say what. I'm saying that everybody's got these pieces in their lineups, and it's the first game that locks. So I'm not counting that one just because I'm going to be below the field a little bit on all of these dudes, but they are all phenomenal plays. I mean, if you run the Sims right now, Alex Sarr is showing up in absolutely every single lineup. Alex Sarr is really hard to get away from in some capacity. I'm probably going to end up capping him when it's all said and done. But if Joel Embiid sits, you lose that center option. I guess it would get really, really disturbing because then we have to say, hey, how you feel about Andre Drummond again? How about that right in? That's why they call it Sin City. It's awful.
Ready for some more super chats?
Sure.
All right. We've got one here from Olrat. Olrat wants to know any worries about Embiid's minutes. Is there blowout risk? So Embiid's playing time, I'm more concerned about Joel Embiid for the future. I think that what the 76ers are doing right now is very ill-advised. He's feeling good. Let's play him 40 minutes in games. It's been ridiculous, his workload. So I'm not concerned about his playing time for today, just because we've seen him play so much in recent games. The other part of your question, you're asking any concerns about a blowout. Here's the problem. The spread for that game is 10 points. Every single game today has a spread of at least 7 points. The Kings-Knicks game spread is 15 points. The OKC game spread is 15 points. I think every game on the slate has some amount of blowout risk today.
Agreed. I mean, it's just every game yesterday was like close spreads, and then it ended up being a blowout. 3.5? It closed on Charlotte, and they just won by 487,633 points against the 76ers. So yeah, I mean, every game looks absurd. And we had a question as well where it's like, aren't you concerned about the Brooklyn Phoenix over? Well, part of it is that you have Devin Booker and Jalen Green out. Colin Gillespie is questionable, who was a late downgrade. So there's just so much opportunity and minutes to go to everybody else. So that's the most appealing thing that we've got going for that. And also, I like the over. 210.5. I like the over very, 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 very much.
We got the news. Casey Wallace is out.
Shit. That's going to be fun.
No Casey Wallace. Yeah, it'll make some other guys look better. We'll look at our projection updates here in a couple minutes when they come through. I don't think anybody all of a sudden is like, oh, we have to jam this guy because Casey Wallace is out. You'll get role players who look a little bit different. Now, in the event that, like Eric mentioned, let's say Kenrich Williams starts, then all of a sudden, like, yeah, that would change the equation a little bit. But I think there's OKC role players that are going to look better now, but nobody who I think is can't miss. Now, maybe something happens with our projections that makes me, change my opinion on that a little bit. But I don't know. What do you make of this scenario here?
Yeah, I think the most likely scenario, I mean, we got the Isaiah Joe start the last time. There's no rhyme or reason to who they end up having to start in specific spots. With Trey Murphy out there and Casey Wallace being more of a primary defender type, I think this is a better chance. Dort slides to the 2 and they go Aaron Wiggins potentially next to Herb Jones. Just give another offensive piece out there. Herb Jones, very defensively forward, pretty darn good in that regard, and create kind of a mismatch for Chet against Queen. Create a mismatch. I mean, everybody's a mismatch for SGA. Zion guarding him should be fun to watch, but I think Aaron Wiggins is the most likely guy that I'm probably going to slide in here, and he's probably going to be my favorite. But I think there's a chance that we get Kenrich Williams, just thinking like maybe 10%. Isaiah Joe was the last guy, but I think Aaron Wiggins, just based on the matchup on what we have on the other side, my most likely guy.
Jalen Williams, the Y, also looks better, solidifies his minutes a little bit. Now, with that said, center only, $4,300. He's going to show up in lineups, but, once again, I don't think he's going to be in like 40% of lineups or anything like that. But he definitely looks, quite a bit better, assuming that he does end up drawing the start. So we'll see. We'll see what the OKC starting lineup is. If Jalen Williams with a Y does start, then I do think he's the best value piece from OKC.
Yeah. I'm not saying Zion's going to guard him specifically, but I can tell you one thing. Zion's going to be playing point guard, and SGA will be guarding Zion coming up the floor a lot of times when you might not expect it. SGA is sneaky big. Like he's thin, frail, but like he's a phenomenal defender, and he can guard just about anybody bringing a ball up. So yeah, more than likely they're going to put Zion elsewhere. Probably goes on the Jalen Williams, but just kind of looking at what they are planning to do, I think Aaron Wiggins makes the most sense as a starter.
All right. We've got here from Del Toro. He wants to know our top FanDuel GPP plays by position. We also got this question in Discord as well. So a little bit has changed as we've gone throughout the show here. We've got, Wallace confirmed out now for example. We've had some projections, some ownership updates. So let's go back and look at FanDuel now with some of the more updated information that we have. Eric, at point guard, who's your favorite player to be rostering over on FanDuel?
On FanDuel, I was talking about some lower on guys overall. Still stick with Ryan Rollins.
Okay, it'll still be James Harden for me. That is assuming that there's going to be no Kawhi today. At shooting guard, Eric, what direction are you going to go at shooting guard?
We'll go Grayson Allen.
Okay, so for myself at shooting guard, I am going to go with Dylan Brooks. And then at small forward, I'll go with Jordan Goodwin. You can go shooting guard, small forward for whichever with them. How about yourself at small forward?
Small forward is going to be Allen Brooks, 1-2. Same thing we talked about earlier.
And then for me, power forward and center, I'll go Bobby Portis and Alex Sarr.
Yeah, I mean, the Sarr thing is just insane. Talked about Jalen with a Y. Williams, still like him at power forward there.
All right, we've got Holden Caulfield. Not sure if asked yet, but if Case and Wallace is out, is Wiggins a lock? Would welcome thoughts on OKC value in general, or just shove the studs. Well, we do have Wallace confirmed. I understood he left the super chat before we got that news. It doesn't make Wiggins a lock. It makes him better. It doesn't make him a lock.
No, doesn't make him a lock at all. He's going to look better. And again, he's almost 5K. He has to share the floor with Chet and with SGA right out the get-go for first and third quarter rotations, and shouldn't be an awesome opportunity for him there. Doesn't really add a ton else in the box score. Like, you're going to need a decent shooting performance still, but he's cheap enough. He's just firmly in play now. I'll call him firmly in play.
Yeah, for sure. He's, like you said, Eric, he's 4,900. He's not some lights out fantasy producer. He's going to project for, like, depending how many minutes we give him and assuming he starts, like 26 to 28 fantasy points, which at $4,900, it's fine. That's just not, it's not a lock.
Agreed.
And let's get to some of our Discord questions now. And if you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Remember, you can get access to our Discord channel by signing up for any Stokastic package, and they are currently 30% off with the promo code PRO for Pro Bowl week. So any package you want, link down below in the YouTube description box, 30% off with the promo code PRO. Very easy. 3 letters, PRO, 30% off. Take advantage of it before the end of the Pro Bowl week here. Let's see what we've got for Discord questions. We have, all right, scrolling back a little bit here. J-Rock wants to know who's the king of the court last week. I forgot that your mom called in with a king of the court pick and came close to winning. Luka ended up winning.
Very mad. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. It's like, it ended up being like, what, a $100 or a $70 bonus bet she missed out on. But yeah, whatever.
Who do you want to go with today? This might be the first. I'll go James Harden. Potential upside there if Kawhi gets ruled out. Probably won't be as popular as some of the other guys. This is the first Tuesday I can remember in quite some time that we have no Luka on it.
Yeah, thank God. So don't get to have the cock tease come in there, but hey, 100% Luka worked out pretty darn well yesterday. He was sub 50% in every tournament. Very useful nuke. I know it was a different variation of the question. I apologize, but I think he had 17 more fantasy points than the next guy. Yeah, that worked out nicely. Today, you went that direction. I'll go a little bit different. I'll go Michael Porter Jr. Okay. Dylan Brooks has been carving up a lot of these like smaller dudes. He guarded Tyrese Maxey as his primary defender a majority of that game against Philly, ate him alive. Dylan Brooks can eat some dudes alive. Michael Porter Jr. is big. His usage should be high. And if this is a diluted Suns team, we should get a more competitive game. I don't know. I feel like a 40-10, 40-15 game is actually in the cards for Michael Porter Jr. as they're getting closer to the deadline. His stock has definitely gone up based on what we've seen from him in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's been terrible. There's also no Noah Clowney there. I like the idea of Michael Porter Jr. at low ownership. If he ends up popular, I'm going to feel like an idiot, but Michael Porter Jr.
You guys should also, for King of the Court, check out the stuff that Josh puts up on Tails for King of the Court. He does really in-depth breakdowns with projections for all the players, their odds being the top PRA guy. So go check out Josh over on Tails if you're trying to fill out your King of the Court picks. By the way, we got projections updated, and here's what we got. Like, nothing too different from what we were kind of thinking before. Aaron Wiggins, we have in for 28 fantasy points at $4,900. We've got 24 fantasy points and change for Jalen Williams. We've got, for other value guys, Kenrich is at 25 fantasy points at $4,800. Lou Dort's at 23.5 at $4,600. We've got Isaiah Joe for 22 fantasy points at $4,200. So some of these guys look better, but like I was saying before, like no real jams. We don't have anybody on the team with, here's the highest optimal rate on the team. Wiggins at 20.83. It's something, but it's not like some crazy high mark or anything.
Yeah, I'm going to get to a little bit of him.
Yeah.
And then hope. I mean, obviously, I think Aaron Wiggins is the chalk and the guy. What I hope is Kenrich Williams starts just so we get him at lower ownership or something wonky happens there to kind of turn the tide. I always love that late breaking news when it's not something you expect, especially from a DFS perspective, because we're usually by our computers accounting for such things. So, it's going to be basically Aaron Wiggins, maybe a little bit of SGA. And Chet looks really good on FanDuel, power forward eligibility, but on DK, far less necessary.
Let's see if we had any other super chats to get to before the end of the show here. We do. We've got one from Anthony. Anthony wants to know, can we trust Ant, Maxey, Edgecombe, George stack? That's way too much exposure to the 76ers for me today.
Too much. Way too much. And you didn't even say Kelly Oubre. That really hurts my feelings. Do you know how hard this is for me some days when you just don't listen to me? God damn.
Ant, Maxey, Edge. So here's the other thing that this isn't like MLB DFS or NFL DFS. You don't just want to be playing, like half the 76ers rotation. No need to do that.
It's good. It's good to do from time to time because you get the overtime correlation. You get some of the bumps to game environments on like prize picks where it's a standard payout and 4 of 6 still gets you something back. 5 of 6 is still doubling up your money. The math definitely leans towards doing that more often than not. Look at DK DFS's results over the years. Obviously, it's a big part of what I do in the pick'em streets, but it is not something I am obviously thinking about, especially as you get to like outside of 3, 4, 5 game slates. When you get to this many games on a slate, specifically like, 6+, it's really, really hard to look at any specific spot and say, I need to stack that up. Like, I'm never thinking about that.
All right, I'm kicking off a final Sims run here. I hope anyway, because if this isn't the last one, I'm going to run out of time. So let's bang out as many questions as we can from Discord here, Eric, and this will close out the last few minutes of the show. Let's see. Sniffs wants to know if we hit on this one before. We want to know about Bouye if Gillespie is out. Any interest in Mark Williams today? Is Mark Williams somebody landing in lineups? I think there's a little bit too much opportunity cost at center for him to be a priority.
Yeah, I like his under 8.5 rebounds. That's not what you want to hear, but yeah, he's fine. Just not my favorite on planet Earth today.
Yeah, just other centers that are higher priority. I haven't been 10% a lineup, so he's in some, but not any kind of. He's just a guy. No real priority for me.
Not very nice
today.
Talk about him that way.
Guy. Let's see. JW says the Sims are really pushing Sar. Should he be capping his exposure? I think Sar's a good option today. I wouldn't try to get away from him.
Nor would I.
I have
55% for me. I had to trim it. It's just so much.
I have 60. I mean, I guess if you have like 100% of them, that's certainly more than what I have. I've got 60% of Sar. I'm good with that. I'm rolling it out. Let's see what else we have here. GQ1NYC wants to know who are the top spend ups for today. Eric, who are you spending up for the most on tonight's slate? So I'll tell you, I don't have very much exposure to the spend up options tonight.
Nor do I. Joel Embiid, the guy I've got the most of right now, and obviously that can change.
Yeah, I've got 27% of Joel Embiid.
35%.
He's the only guy over 9K that I have double-digit percentage of.
I have double-digit Shea. I have 20% Shea.
Okay. Yeah. If we go a little bit cheaper, Chet looks solid at $8,500. If you want a contrarian option, if Sabonis minutes get stretched a little bit, I think you can make a case for him.
Donovan Clingan with just to throw it in under the clock, Donovan Clingan I like for tournaments as well. No Robert Williams back there. They really don't like playing Yang Hansen, and I understand why. He is not good, but fun to watch for what it's worth.
It's Chinese Jokic right there. Don't slander the good man.
He's a rookie. It's we got to work on the body. We got to work a little bit on the conditioning in the body, but Yang Hansen's fun at least.
Sally Sal, what to do with Brooklyn? I'm sick of them. Is it a good idea to X them out? Does that affect the Sims on?
Yes. Grimes out. Kelly Oubre to the moon. Grimes out.
Yes. If you are taking the Nets just wholesale out of the Sims, it'll impact it. You should not do that.
Correct.
If you just don't want to get to them, you could do negative ROI boost. With that said, you shouldn't be getting to that much exposure to the Nets I have, who do I have the most of from Brooklyn? I have
Michael Porter Jr. for me by far, and I barely have 10% of him.
I have 3% of Michael. I don't know how much exposure the Nets you have. You're like, oh, I hate my Nets exposure. There isn't anybody who should be showing up in a ton of lineups for you from the Nets.
Tsunami papi.
By the way, we are at lock. So a couple of questions that are still pending here. Let's see. Is anything relevant to pre-lock? Einstein also wanted to know Herb Jones. I have 0 lineups of Herb Jones.
0 beyond 0. And I like him from a real basketball perspective, but 3 and D without the 3 is very difficult to account for. Maybe don't roster that in DFS.
So let's before we sign off here, let's start because he just got ruled out. You'd mentioned Kelly Oubre before, so I assume Kelly Oubre is going to show up in lineups for you. Anything else that's important to you from the 76ers with no Quentin Grimes?
Yeah, we didn't even get the Joel Embiid news in. But what I did is I basically just said, you know what, Trendon Watford picks up a couple of minutes, Dominic Barlow, but like Kelly Oubre, I just ramped up to 39.5 minutes. I legitimately think that's where his baseline should be at. Jared McCain is probably the guy who benefits the most from a raw minutes projection standpoint. Like Quentin Grimes just goes into some Jared McCain. What's Jared McCain's price? I honestly hadn't thought about him whatsoever. He is a flat 3K. Jared McCain is, mother of God. That is a problem. That might actually be a problem.
I don't know that he's not even been in the rotation. I would be surprised if we've McCain projected for more than like 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's good to hear because he played 23 yesterday. Actually made shots for the first time since 1997, which I don't even think he was alive. He would have been negative years old then, but he will tick-tock his way into probably 16 or so minutes. It's just a question of, does he knock down shots? If he knocks down shots, 3K flat is kind of interesting, but yeah, he's the guy who benefits the most in terms of raw minutes. But what this probably just turns into is a lot of Maxey, VJ, Oubre, Paul George, Joel Embiid, and all of those guys are going to play mid-30s minutes against Milwaukee without Giannis. I'm going to call that useful, Greg. I'm going to call that useful.
So I'm going to be playing Joel Embiid today. I think he's underpriced at $9,200. I don't like Kelly Oubre as much as you do. If he projects for 39 minutes like you're expecting when our data updates, then sure, I would feel differently about that. I don't know what impacts his playing time in a massive way. We have him for 33.5 right now. I think it's probably going to stay close to the same.
All right. Just to round out the conversation, Kelly Oubre, the last couple of games, other than yesterday's abortion, we had 37, 41, 34, 35. I mean, we were talking massive minutes going to Kelly Oubre in a lot of different game scripts. Most of those stayed pretty close, and obviously they are pretty big favorites. But like the nice thing about Kelly Oubre is like, do they really give a shit about Kelly Oubre closing down games even? I don't think so. We're like, Embiid, you obviously are. Maxey, you obviously are. I think Edgecombe's played himself into the position where you got to watch it. And Paul George, you probably don't want him out there closing games that they're up 20 in. So I think Kelly Oubre has extra outs baked in where he could end up being the guy where it's like, yep, we're up 15, but you're going to shoot the ball every possession. And that's always helpful. So again, he's 2.5%, Greg. He's probably going to come up a little bit in ownership here, but the main appeal of him is positionality, still a somewhat muted price, and no Quentin Grimes. So lots of ways where Kelly Oubre just plays a boatload of minutes.
So guys, that is going to do it for us. If you haven't done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Later, guys.